The Pot-era earrings rewarded by the system and the Supreme Kais earrings differ in color. There's a significant difference in their performance as well. Firstly, these earrings can only be used as a fusion item and are not the same as Supreme Kais earrings, which represent Supreme Kais status. Furthermore, unlike Supreme Kais Pot-era earrings, which can only last for 1 hour if used by someone other than Supreme Kai, these earrings have infinite duration. However, the fusion can be undone instantly by removing one of the earrings. Simple and easy to use. Truly a top-quality item from the system. After checking his rewards, Lin Chen landed on the ground, cancelled the Black God form, and then called over Supreme Kai and others who were standing in the distance. He asked Kibito for assistance in treating those whose fusion was already undone. The injuries sustained during fusion would also be reflected on the two individuals after the fusion was undone, and the memories of the fusion would also remain in their mind. So, while receiving treatment, Vegeta and Goku were both dumbfounded, looking at Lin Chen, finding it hard to believe the immense gap that still existed between them and Lin Chen. Your Majesty Lynx, can you tell us what just happened? In terms of power level, Vegeta should be stronger than you, right? Lin Chen smiled slightly but didn't respond. Instead, he looked towards old Kai. The latter understood his intent and explained, your Saiyan transformations are flashy, solely pursuing power, so of course, they can't compare to Mr. Lin Chen's transformation just now. Mr. Lin Chen's transformation is the fusion of divine power, completely different from your so-called Super Saiyan transformations. Speaking of which, at your current level, you should no longer deliberately pursue power, the pursuit of the realm is what you should focus on. Hearing old Kai's explanation, Goku and Vegeta both suddenly realized. So, it's all about the realm. At this moment, Lin Chen spoke up, actually, it's not that simple either. As far as I know, if your power continues to increase, qualitative changes can occur. Absolute power can also produce effects similar to divine power. Old Kai nodded, that's true. I've seen some individuals in the past who entered the realm of the gods through sheer power. Goku and Vegeta looked shocked. Regardless, the encounter today was a valuable lesson for them. It seems like we need to continue training, Vegeta. No need to tell me. I'll start my training as soon as we go back. Lin Chen didn't mind and smiled. He was about to take them back to Earth when suddenly, East Supreme Kai seemed to sense something, and his expression changed. This is... What happened? Old Kai asked. Mr. Lin Chen, please wait for a moment. East Supreme Kai called out to Lin Chen and the others before immediately summoning a crystal ball. What's going on? It seems like there's trouble on Earth. Look. It appears that the humans on Earth have disappeared. What? Upon hearing this, Lin Chen and the others were shocked and gathered around the crystal ball. On the crystal ball, images of Earth were being displayed one by one. However, in these images, there was not a single human being in sight. The crystal ball's images swept through the 4 major cities of the Earth. Whether it was East City, North City, West City, and other megalopolis, there was no sign of any humans, and there were only empty cars and other vehicles parked by the roadside. What's going on? How could Earth have become like this? Vegeta exclaimed. Goten, Trunks, and the other children began clamoring and asking about the well-being of their own mother. However, East Supreme Kai looked grave and said, I'm sorry, but according to my senses, the only human still alive on Earth right now is him. The crystal ball flashed, revealing the figure of Mr. Satan. Accompanying Mr. Satan was Majin Buu, who has been living with him. Now, there's only Mr. Satan left alive on Earth. It seems that Majin Buu saved him. What? Wah. Mommy. I'm going to look for Mommy. Goten and Trunks, upon hearing this, immediately burst into tears. Quiet. Suddenly, Lin Chen's voice rang out, stopping them. Supreme Kai-sama, do you know who the culprit is? Yes, it's her. When a pink figure appeared on the crystal ball, everyone, including Lin Chen, was surprised. Android 21. The figure on the crystal ball was none other than Android 21, who should have already been dead. Moreover, it was the evil Android 21 with a predominantly gray body. What's going on? Didn't 21 already die? In the battle against Majin Buu, Lin Chen used the power of destruction to completely eliminate Majin Buu, whose body had taken over Android 21's. So theoretically, Android 21 should have been dead. In that case, where did this Android 21 come from? I don't know. East Supreme Kai shook his head, indicating he had no information. However, Old Kai clapped his hands and said, I get it now. Lin Chen, I suspect that this Android 21 escaped when you were rescuing people from Buu's body. You must have weakened Buu's control over the body at that time, allowing Android 21 to regain control of herself. She has Majin Buu's cells in her, and as long as a small part of her separates from Buu's body, she can fully regenerate into her original form. When Majin Buu died, I sensed an evil aura still lurking on Earth. Now it seems that the owner of that aura is Android 21. Lin Chen's eyes turned cold. I didn't expect this Kakarot. Take the others back to Planet Vegeta and prepare to use Planet Vegeta's Dragon Balls to revive the people on Earth. Lazuli, Tights, and the others had already returned to Planet Vegeta, so they had escaped this catastrophe. Even though his own family had escaped unscathed, Lin Chen was determined to settle this score. Move quickly. I'll go to Earth and settle the score with Android 21. After arranging everything, Lin Chen hurriedly headed to Earth. At this moment, Earth was in an unprecedented silence. On the vast planet, Mr. Satan, the last surviving human, was watching the sky nervously. There, his savior, Fat Buu, who had saved Mr. Satan, was now locked in combat with Android 21. Watching the intense battle in the sky, Mr. Satan felt like he was in a dream. Things had happened so suddenly. A strange power had suddenly lifted all the humans on Earth into the sky. Then, a pink lightning appeared, turning all the humans into candies. Mr. Satan would have become a part of this candy army as well if it weren't for Buu's help. But now, it seemed like his luck was about to run out. Because even someone like Satan could see that his friend Buu seemed to be at a disadvantage at this moment. The mastermind behind all of this had completely suppressed Buu's power. Ha ha ha. Majin Buu, you are just so. In the sky, evil Android 21 laughed like a queen. She has absorbed almost all humans on Earth except for Satan, and then once again absorbed Android 17 and 18. In addition, in the days that followed, countless clones were produced in the remaining clone production facility on Earth. At this moment, Android 21's power has already surpassed the previous Ultimate Buu. A mere Majin Buu who has lost most of his power and has yet to fully recover was simply not her match. Under Android 21's attacks, Majin Buu continued to suffer new wounds. Although these wounds would heal quickly, even Satan below could see that Buu's recovery speed was gradually slowing down. Stop. Please stop. Seeing Buu gradually weakening, Satan couldn't help but shout loudly. But Android 21 paid no attention to him and simply raised her hand to throw an energy wave. Majin Buu fought with all his might to break free and then rushed in front of the energy wave to block the attack for Satan, but he was once again severely injured. Satan, quickly run away. I can't defeat her. Mr. Buu, you're the one who should escape. Don't worry about me, just go. Watching this scene, Android 21 couldn't help but sneer, my goodness, Majin Buu has actually formed friendship with a foolish human. It's quite amusing. But let's end all of this here. With that, Android 21 raised her right hand, and a huge red and black energy sphere appeared in her hand. Majin Buu's face tensed. He could already tell that he wouldn't be able to withstand this attack no matter what. However, at that moment, a figure appeared in front of them. Android 21. It's you. Android 21 stopped and dispersed the red and black energy sphere in her hand. Satan, who had been on the verge of giving up, suddenly found hope. His eyes widened in surprise and delight. "Mr. Lin Chen. You've finally come." Appearing before everyone was Lin Chen, who had returned from the sacred world of the Kai. Just by sensing the surroundings briefly, Lin Chen confirmed that what Supreme Kai had said was true. Apart from Satan, there was no trace of any living being's aura on Earth. Lin Chen raised his head and stared at Android 21 with a cold look in his eyes. "Android 21, what have you done?" "What have I done? I simply ate everyone," Android 21 tilted her head and replied casually. "Speaking of which, I haven't thanked you yet, Lin Chen. If it weren't for you stirring up trouble inside Majin Buu's body back then, I wouldn't have had a chance to escape from his body." "Did you really manage to escape back then?" Lin Chen asked with a frown. "Yes," Android 21 smiled. As it turned out, everything started on the day of Lin Chen's battle with Majin Buu. Although Majin Buu had taken control of her body, evil Android 21's consciousness had actually remained within Majin Buu's body. Even when Lin Chen entered Majin Buu's body, it was evil Android 21 who guided him to find the people who had been absorbed. At that time, the surge of aura that Lin Chen felt came from Android 21. As for her purpose, it was naturally to regain her freedom. Because Lin Chen rescued the others, evil Android 21 was able to regain partial control of her body. It was at that time that evil Android 21 discreetly planted a small piece of herself in the ground. Since it was just a tiny piece of flesh, it went unnoticed by anyone. But with the help of Majin Buu's powerful regenerative abilities, that piece of flesh quickly grew to its current state. Previously, Android 21 had absorbed all the humans on Earth in order to quickly restore and then enhance her own strength. Upon learning the truth, Lin Chen took a deep breath. He hadn't expected Android 21's to be so lucky. She managed to survive all of this. But everything ends here. Android 21, thanks for the explanation. Now you can die. Lin Chen said coldly. Suddenly, a divine aura surged out, and a divine halo appeared behind Lin Chen. However, just as Lin Chen was about to transform into the Super Saiyan God, a smile appeared on evil Android 21's face. "Oh. Are you really going to transform into that Super Saiyan God thing? Or is it the power of laws? Really, you're so shameless. You already have divine power, and you want to bully someone like me who doesn't have it." Suddenly, evil Android 21's eyes widened and she said in a faint voice, "So, divine power is prohibited." "Huh?" Lin Chen was taken aback, and then he saw something like a controller in Android 21's hand. Android 21 pressed a button on the controller, and the next moment, Lin Chen saw a golden bolt of lightning rise from the horizon. The bolt of lightning was not limited to just one. Apart from what Lin Chen witnessed, there were numerous other bolts of lightning rising from the horizon. This also included the location where the World Martial Arts Tournament had been held. "What's that?" Satan asked in confusion. Buu, who was beside him, shook his head. These bolts of lightning gradually ascended and converged above Android 21's head. Following that, a golden barrier instantly enveloped the entire Earth. Just as this barrier completely covered the Earth. Sacred world of the Kai. The crystal ball of the East Supreme Kai suddenly went blank, losing the visuals. "Huh? What's going on?" On Earth, Lin Chen also felt something was amiss at that moment. He couldn't sense the power of laws anymore. Soon, Lin Chen directly reverted from his black god form, and the divine halo behind him fell and dissipated. A few seconds later, Lin Chen had returned to his normal state. What's going on? It was his first time encountering such a bizarre situation. He pondered for a moment and tried to activate his divine power again, attempting to transform back into his black god form, but he found that he couldn't. He couldn't harness any of the 4 power of laws. System, what's going on? Ding! A special field has been detected, and the power of laws is being disrupted. What? Ha ha ha. Suddenly, a sinister laughter echoed, and Lin Chen raised his head to see evil Android 21 looking at him mockingly. What's wrong, Lin Chen? It seems like I can sense your aura again. What could it be? Oh dear, does that mean you've lost your divine power? How strange. Without divine power, aren't you just an ordinary person now? Are you still my match? Evil Android 21 burst into giggles and then, in a flash, appeared in front of Lin Chen. Oh. I'll give you back all those beatings from before. Evil Android 21's fists rained down one after another. Seeing that he couldn't temporarily transform into the Black God form, Lin Chen immediately transformed into the legendary Super Saiyan 2 form. However, even though Lin Chen's power level in his normal state was close to 80 million, in his legendary Super Saiyan 2 form, his strength was only slightly over 8 billion, which was not enough in front of Android 21. Boom! With just one punch, she broke through Lin Chen's defense and sent him flying. Evil Android 21 landed a successful blow and immediately gave chase. Bang, bang, bang. Flashes of light flickered in the air, and due to the incredible speed, all that could be heard were the sounds of rapid and powerful collisions. On the ground, Mr. Satan couldn't see anything at all. Mr. Bu, how's the situation? Before Bu could respond, a meteor suddenly fell from the sky, crashing into the ground and creating a huge mushroom cloud comparable to a nuclear explosion. Protected by Bu, Satan lifted his head and, upon seeing Android 21 grinning in the sky, his face was filled with despair. What's going on? Wasn't that Saiyan named Lin Chen supposed to be invincible? Didn't he have more powerful moves during the battle with Golden Cell? Why wasn't he using them this time? Ah, is the Earth doomed? Satan despaired, grabbing his afro hair. Fortunately, shortly after, Lin Chen emerged from the explosion, looking rather disheveled. Although he couldn't use the power of creation, he has senzu beans, which saved him. Damn it! Lin Chen spat out. This is the first time he has been in such a dire situation. However, what he couldn't understand was the current situation. What special field could prevent him from using his power of laws? TN, I made a mistake while translating a line in the previous chapter. It's the system message. At this moment, Android 21 flew in from a distance, and upon seeing that Lin Chen was still unharmed, she didn't show any surprise. As expected, it's not so easy to kill you, Lin Chen. But if you really died, I'd be quite troubled. I really want to know what you taste like. Lin Chen smirked, why don't you give it a try? I'd love to, but I can't. Right now, my forbidden god's domain covers the entire earth, and I can't turn you into candy, 21 said with a troubled expression. Forbidden god's domain? Yes. 21 twirled her finger and explained, right now, all over the earth, there are special field devices in operation, and those beams of light you see are emitted by these devices. By the way, do you know who placed these devices? It was the clone army from before. The real purpose of me deploying them was actually to install these devices. Otherwise, why do you think I let those clones, who could serve as food, run around and be eliminated by you people? With 21's explanation, Lin Chen gradually understood her scheme. It has to be said that compared to Majin Bu, it is indeed more challenging to deal with Android 21, whose template is Dr. Vomi. It turns out that in order to defeat him, she had been planning for a long time. All of this could even be traced back to when Dr. Lychee attacked Planet Vegeta. Back then, when Dr. Lychee led the ghost army created by Hachiak to attack Planet Vegeta, he had also created a batch of devices capable of releasing Destron gas. These devices, along with the cloning machine, were provided to her by Dr. Lychee as a reward for helping complete Hachiak. Using these devices, 21 completed the cloning machine, created a large number of clones as a food for her future power growth, and also manufactured the Forbidden God's domain devices. These devices were essentially an improvement on Dr. Leachy's Destron gas. Within the range of these devices, all manipulation of power of laws would be disrupted. During the battle against Golden Cell back then, Android 21 had secretly observed the fight. She had witnessed Lin Chen's powers with her own eyes, and she had long realized that neither she nor Majin Buu could be a match for Lin Chen, who possessed divine powers. The only hope was to render Lin Chen's divine powers useless. Why hadn't Android 21 shown herself for so long, and why had she hidden from the world after awakening? It was all to wait for the completion of the Forbidden God's domain devices. Only when Lin Chen couldn't use his divine powers that she believed she had a chance to defeat him. Of course, Majin Buu taking control of her body due to her continuous absorption and evolution came as a surprise to her, but fortunately, her initial assessment was not entirely wrong. Even though Majin Buu had absorbed countless strong beings, as long as there was no absolute advantage in strength, he couldn't defeat Lin Chen, who had comprehended the power of laws and reached the realm of gods. However, these devices had their limitations. If one had a deep understanding of the power of laws, like Beerus and Whis, for example, these devices might not be effective. But Lin Chen's understanding was far from profound since it came from the system, and that's how Android 21 affected him. Lin Chen, look, I've waited for an opportunity to have a fair fight with you for more than 10 years. Do you know how precious that time is for a girl? So be a good boy and become my food, okay? I want to eat you to make up for the 10 years I lost. After listening to Android 21's explanation, Lin Chen couldn't help but burst into laughter. 10 years? You're already an old woman. What's the big deal about losing 10 years? Android 21's lips twitched, and a red-black aura appeared in her hand. Fine, let's see how long you can stay defiant. With that, a red-black blast wave was released. Lin Chen furrowed his brows and prepared to use instant transmission to leave this place immediately. Since he couldn't use the power of laws on Earth, he had no choice but to temporarily retreat for now. Once he left Earth, he had countless ways to deal with her. However, to Lin Chen's surprise, he suddenly found out that not only could he not use his power of laws, but he also couldn't use instant transmission. Seeing Lin Chen's surprised expression, Android 21 burst into laughter. Realized it, didn't you? It's useless, instant transmission is also a use of the power of laws. Don't think you can leave Earth. Boom! The blast wave came rushing towards him. Lin Chen extended his hands to try and block it, but the blast wave forced him to continuously retreat. Since he was unable to transform into Black God form, there was already a disparity in power level between Lin Chen and Android 21 at this moment. Super Kaioken. Seeing that he was unable to hold on, Lin Chen had no choice but to use Kaioken. Although his power level instantly doubled, he was still no match for the current Android 21. As expected, Lin Chen again suffered severe injuries. This time, it was his legendary Super Saiyans bloodline that saved him, allowing Lin Chen to survive despite suffering severe injuries, without being vaporized by the blast wave. But when he stood up again after consuming a Senzu bean, Android 21 was already in front of him. Another Senzu bean? How many Senzu beans do you have? But it doesn't matter. No matter how many Senzu beans you have, the winner this time will be me. Without divine powers, you are nothing. Android 21's fist came flying towards Lin Chen. However, her fist was suddenly caught by Lin Chen in midair. Android 21 was stunned. Has his strength increased significantly compared to before? While Android 21 was still shocked, a smile appeared on Lin Chen's lips. Thinking you've won just because I can't use my divine powers. Sorry, but don't underestimate Saiyans. Even if we can't transform into a god, Saiyans' powers are not something that you can look down on. Thump, thump. Android 21 suddenly thought she heard a heartbeat. She initially thought it was a hallucination, but to her surprise, the heartbeat resounded again. Thump, thump. At the same time, Android 21 suddenly felt a massive aura surging up, and this aura seemed to be coming from Lin Chen in front of her. What's going on? How are you still able to increase your aura? Seeing Lin Chen's aura continue to rise rapidly, Android 21's body shook violently and a look of shock and astonishment appeared on her face. In the information she had collected over the past dozen years, it was clear that Lin Chen could, at most, transform into legendary Super Saiyan 2 if he can't use Black God form. Could it be? In the midst of Android 21's astonishment, Lin Chen's golden-green hair once again lengthened, and his aura radiated outward like flames. Finally, Android 21 saw Lin Chen in his long-haired form. Is this Super Saiyan 3? That's right. You didn't think that I wouldn't have mastered transformations even Goku and the others have, did you? Indeed, Lin Chen's current form was none other than the legendary Super Saiyan 3 form. It was the transformation Linro had attained earlier. The terrifying aura continued to erupt, causing the very earth and sky to tremble. On the ground, Satan clung to Majin Buu, crying out loudly, feeling as though doomsday was upon them. However, facing Lin Chen, who is now emitting a power level approaching that of the Black God form, Android 21's expression remained calm. She even looked at Lin Chen with amusement. I never would have thought that, although you've always used the Black God form, you could also transform into Super Saiyan 3. But if you think you can defeat me like this, you're mistaken. The weakness of Super Saiyan 3 is something I've already analyzed. Android 21 pointed at Lin Chen, her confidence evident. Your power in that form may be strong, but it consumes a lot of stamina. Even as a legendary Super Saiyan, you won't be able to sustain such consumption. Can you defeat me like this? Android 21 was right, the Super Saiyan 3 form was inherently stamina draining, and the legendary Super Saiyan 3 form was even more so. For Lin Chen, who had already mastered the Black God form, this transformation was utterly useless, and he wouldn't have bothered with it in the past. But now, unable to transform into Black God, Lin Chen had no choice but to use this long-forgotten transformation. The problem was that even if he had now become a legendary Super Saiyan 3, he still didn't have a guaranteed chance of winning against Android 21. Just by relying on legendary Super Saiyan 3, he could only hold the upper hand against Android 21, but if he wanted to defeat her, it wouldn't be so easy. As time drags on, Lin Chen's body might give in before Android 21's. It was precisely because they both understood this that Android 21 was so confident. However, legendary Super Saiyan 3 indeed cannot defeat you, but who told you that this is my limit? What? Just when Android 21 was still feeling puzzled, a glowing sphere suddenly appeared in Lin Chen's hand. At first, Android 21 thought Lin Chen was going to attack, but she quickly realized that the sphere in Lin Chen's hand had brightness but not much energy. What are you doing? Lin Chen smiled and said, 21, do you know that Saiyans can transform into giant apes through their tail by absorbing special electromagnetic waves reflected by the moon on a full moon night? And the Saiyans who can transform into Super Saiyan can use this transformation to become the Golden Great Ape. Through this method, Saiyans can break through their own limits and become powerful beings capable of challenging gods. This transformation is called Super Saiyan 4. As soon as the words fell, the energy sphere in Lin Chen's hand flew into the air. Immediately after, two muffled heartbeats suddenly resounded, as if some prehistoric behemoth was rapidly awakening, and an inexplicably terrifying aura rapidly began to spread out. The technique capable of triggering legendary Super Saiyan to transform into Super Saiyan 4, Super Moon. This was one of the rewards Lin Chen had received from the system during his 10 years at the Time Nest. Lin Chen had initially considered this technique to be somewhat useless. The so-called Super Saiyan 4 transformation, while incredibly powerful, was completely useless for Lin Chen, who has chosen the divine realm. Super Saiyan 4 and Super Saiyan God, although their peak strengths were nearly equal, are actually two completely divergent paths, and one can only choose one of them. So for Lin Chen, there was virtually no chance of ever using this technique. But he had never expected that Android 21 would be able to set up a forbidden god's domain, restricting Lin Chen's path to transform into Black God. In this situation, the unrestricted Super Saiyan 4, surprisingly, found its purpose. Thank you, Android 21. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have had the chance to use this technique. As Lin Chen focused his gaze on the moon in the sky, the dormant Saiyan primal genetic power that had been buried within him for years began to activate. The transformation into ape form that hadn't appeared since the sneak attack on Frieza years ago was appearing once again. With a loud roar, fur rapidly grew on Lin Chen's body, and his eyes turned blood red. His lips protruded, revealing fangs. Then, almost visibly, Lin Chen's body began to grow rapidly. 5 meters 10 meters. In a mere instant, Lin Chen's body had surpassed a height of 20 meters, becoming a terrifying golden great ape. At this moment, the power emanating from Lin Chen's body finally caused a look of fear to appear on Android 21's face. But Android 21 didn't know that transforming into a golden great ape was just the beginning. With a roar from the golden great ape, Lin Chen's aura began to soar once more. This so powerful. So strong. Even Majin Buu in the distance couldn't help but exclaim. The horrifying golden great ape filled even the fearless demon with dread. Even the Supreme Kai and others in the sacred world of the Kai, who suddenly couldn't observe events on Earth due to the interference of the forbidden god's domain, felt this aura. What aura is this? It can actually pass through dimensions and reach the sacred world of the Kai. Ancestor, this aura seems somewhat like Lin Chen's, doesn't it? Ack. What on earth is happening? Kibito, can't you use instant transmission yet? Yes, old Kai-sama. Earth seems to have disappeared completely. I can't even sense its location. Meanwhile, on Earth, Lin Chen's transformation finally reached its end. After his aura reached its peak, a bright light appeared on the golden great ape's body. When the light gradually dissipated, a completely new form of Lin Chen appeared before Android 21. In this form, his body was covered in crimson fur, his physique became robust and powerful, his hair reverted to black, and he exuded a wild and primal aura. With a flick of his tail, Lin Chen, now in human form, smiled. You've been waiting long, Android 21. This is another transformation that can rival the Divine Realm Super Saiyan 4. Super Saiyan 4. How is this possible? If you knew this transformation, why have I never seen you use it before? Android 21 was filled with disbelief. Since she couldn't sense the aura of the Divine Realm, she couldn't compare Lin Chen's current Super Saiyan 4 and his Black God Realm. However, it was clear that the power of the Super Saiyan 4 far surpassed that of Super Saiyan 3. In fact, in terms of power level increase alone, Super Saiyan 4's increase was nearly 700 times the normal state. A 700-fold increase, even without the use of divine power, meant that in terms of actual performance, it was close to Lin Chen's Black God transformation. If Super Saiyan God is the path to the divine realm through the understanding of power of laws, then Super Saiyan 4 is the path to divine realm through sheer force. To describe it using the Xianxia novel Lin Chen read in his previous life, Super Saiyan God was the orthodox way, and Super Saiyan 4 was the path of strength. However, as the actual user of the transformation, Lin Chen was well aware that Super Saiyan 4 had some shortcomings compared to Super Saiyan God. Both Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan 4 were big breakthroughs beyond Super Saiyan 3. In terms of energy intensity, they were on par, but in terms of skills, Super Saiyan God is superior to Super Saiyan 4 by a lot. Entering the divine realm meant having the aura of a god, something ordinary beings couldn't sense, making it a potent weapon in most battles. In the universe, most beings relied on aura to track their opponents, and losing sight of the enemy's location could put them at a significant disadvantage in a fight. Furthermore, Super Saiyan 4 had a considerable energy consumption, although not as exaggerated as Super Saiyan 3. It still imposed a significant burden on the body and was far from being as gentle as Super Saiyan God. Finally, Super Saiyan 4 had a significant flaw: the Saiyan tail. The power of Super Saiyan 4 comes from the tail, which is like a weak point and serves as the Achilles heel of Super Saiyan 4. If the tail is harmed during battle, Super Saiyan 4 will revert back to its original form, just like a Saiyan who has transformed into Great Ape. For these reasons, even though Lin Chen had already mastered the Super Saiyan 4 transformation, he had never considered using it in battle. All of this is because of your actions, Lin Chen said with a faint smile as he opened his 5 fingers. Boom! A blinding flash suddenly lit up, and with just a casual strike, Lin Chen produced an effect comparable to Vegeto's Kamehameha. Amidst the surging and relentless energy, Android 21 directly turned into gaseous form, but she quickly recovered back to her original form. The sudden explosive attack seemed to have momentarily disoriented her. You damn it! Die! Android 21 roared, and terrifying energy blasts were unleashed towards Lin Chen. Facing 21's sudden counterattack, Lin Chen showed disdain. Do you think you can escape? Indeed, 21's attack was a feint. While launching energy blasts, she also began flying towards Majin Buu, who was observing from a distance. Lin Chen's earlier casual attack had made it clear to 21 that she was no match for him in her current state. His aura was simply too terrifying. Even Vegeto, who had previously fought the tyrannical Majin Buu, falls far short of Lin Chen. However, Android 21 believed that if she could absorb Fat Buu below, she might have a slim chance of winning. As long as she could absorb Fat Buu. If Lin Chen could give her a chance. Unfortunately, Lin Chen had seen through everything. Swish! Although he couldn't use instant transmission, the increase in power level greatly enhanced his speed. At this moment, Lin Chen's speed was like he had performed instant transmission, intercepting Android 21 with precision. Seeing her path suddenly blocked, Android 21's pupils contracted, and she exclaimed, "How is this possible? Android 21. You won't have a chance." Lin Chen ignored her shock, threw a punch that seemed ordinary, but it exploded on contact with Android 21's body like a bomb. Bang! Android 21's upper body vanished. When Android 21's body regenerated, she immediately let out a scream and her internal energy erupted out without restraint. As she attacked Lin Chen, she again tried to retreat. But the disparity between them was just too vast. Lin Chen used only one hand to block all of her attacks effortlessly. Then, he unleashed a terrifying power from his hand, once again vaporizing Android 21. The pink smoke reformed in midair, and Android 21 appeared once more, looking disheveled. But there was still a trace of hope on her face as she said, "Lin Chen, even though you're powerful, you can't kill me. As long as you can't use divine power." "Do you really think so?" Lin Chen interrupted Android 21 and asked in return. Indeed, the cells of Majin Buu within her were amazing. Apart from the power of destruction, only techniques with the purifying capabilities could destroy her. As for techniques with purifying capabilities, aside from Goku's Spirit Bomb, Lin Chen happened to know of one other move that could serve the same purpose. Lin Chen's eyes sharpened, and his entire body suddenly erupted out with a divine aura. Dragon Fist. Lin Chen threw a punch, instantly unleashing a golden dragon-shaped energy fist that flew towards Android 21. Amidst a resounding dragon's roar, Android 21 was completely engulfed by this golden energy. In an instant, she disappeared without a trace. This time, there were no pink pieces of flesh or pink gas. Everything about Android 21 had vanished from this world completely. Shortly after, the Forbidden God's domain device on Earth was completely destroyed, and the golden light that had once enveloped the entire world finally disappeared. Once the power of laws on Earth was no longer disrupted, Supreme Kai and others arrived using instant transmission. Almost immediately after, Goku also arrived with Lazuli, Tights and others. The interference caused by the Forbidden God's domain had prevented them from sensing the auras on Earth until not long ago. Upon seeing Lin Chen, they all simultaneously asked the same question. Lin Chen, brother, what just happened? Where is Android 21? After Lin Chen explained what had happened, everyone was left in shock. Old Kai's reaction was particularly exaggerated. Who could have imagined that a mortal could disrupt the power of laws? And even more astonishingly, without the use of power of laws, Lin Chen could still annihilate Android 21. Keep in mind that Android 21 had possessed powers surpassing even the previous Majin Buu. Even then Lin Chen won. Old Kai remained silent for a moment before suddenly saying to Lin Chen, how about becoming a Supreme Kai? This left Lin Chen speechless, and East Supreme Kai, standing nearby, wore a bitter smile, worried about his job. Old Kai's suggestion, of course, Lin Chen did not take seriously. He just smiled casually, brushing it off. Old Kai also understood that it wouldn't be so easy to make Lin Chen agree, so he didn't press the matter any further. Not long after that, Lin Chen and the Supreme Kai's group appeared on Planet Vegeta. Planet Vegeta's Dragon Balls had already been prepared, waiting for his return to be used. Seeing Planet Vegeta's Dragon Balls, Old Kai couldn't help but be amazed. Are these your Dragon Balls? It's quite strange. Aren't Dragon Balls something that only the Namekians can make? Lin Chen, how did you manage to do it? It's the power of the Super Dragon Balls, Lin Chen explained briefly about the origin of Planet Vegeta's Dragon Balls. Old Kai suddenly realized, while the East Supreme Kai and Kibito still looked puzzled. Super Dragon Balls. Other universes? They were completely unaware of all this. Old Kai sighed deeply and shook his head in disbelief. Ah, what a disgrace. You're the most ignorant among all the Supreme Kai from the various universes that I've ever met. Turning his head, Old Kai asked, Mr. Lin Chen, are you planning to use the Dragon Balls to resurrect the people of Earth? That's right, Lin Chen nodded. However, Old Kai felt the need to emphasize, Mr. Lin Chen, there's something I must remind you of. It's best to avoid using Dragon Balls, especially for resurrecting the dead. It's a power that defies the natural order. By the way, do you know about what happened on Planet Namek? You mean the backlash of Planet Namek's Dragon Balls? That's right. The great calamity on Planet Namek in the past was a consequence of excessive use of the Dragon Balls. Lin Chen had heard about this history from the deceased Great Elder, but he didn't take it to heart. After all, how could his Dragon Balls develop problems so quickly when they had been used only a few times? Thank you for the reminder. I will be careful. Saying that, he began the summoning. Old Kai saw that Lin Chen didn't seem to take his warning seriously and could only shake his head, deciding not to say more. The summoning process proceeded as usual. The divine five-clawed golden dragon made both Supreme Kai sigh at their own insignificance. Lin Chen personally made the wish to the divine dragon, Shenron, please resurrect the people on Earth who died because of Majin Buu and Android 21. Also, it would be best if their negative emotions caused by this event could be erased during the resurrection. Although this wish seemed like two wishes, Shenron did not refuse. Perhaps this was the privilege of being the creator. This wish is quite simple. Thy wish can be granted. The five-clawed golden dragon's eyes shimmered, and on the distant Earth, the people killed by Majin Buu were resurrected one by one. Everyone except the soulless clones and the fully mechanical Android 16 was brought back to life. Earth. Wait, I didn't die. Android 18 got up from the ground, looking puzzled. Her last memory was being transformed into a dessert by Android 21. But now, looking at herself, she was perfectly fine. 18. At that moment, a familiar voice reached her from a distance. She turned around and saw her husband, Krillin, along with Android 17 and others, smiling and waving as they flew towards her. After they landed, none of them knew what had happened, and they could only speculate that Shenron had revived them. By the way, where's Android 21? 18 suddenly asked. The others shook their heads. Just then, Yamcha shouted while holding a phone, "Everyone, come and see this." On Yamcha's phone, a live video was playing. In the footage, their old friend Mr. Satan stood in front of the camera, with Fat Bu standing behind him. A beautiful female reporter held a microphone and asked, "Mr. Satan, can you please repeat what happened on Earth earlier? Many people, including myself, remember our last moments being turned into candy while flying in the sky. Friends of Earth, please rest assured. The crisis on Earth has been resolved." In front of the camera, Satan recounted the entire incident to everyone, but when it came to the part about the final resolution, Satan claimed that he and his disciple, Mr. Bu, had together defeated the evil Android 21, saving everyone on Earth. Oh my goodness! So that's what happened. Did you hear that, dear viewers? Earth has once again been saved. Satan! 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 Cheers erupted out in all corners of Earth. Krillin shrugged. So, that's how it is. Tien Shinhan nodded. Yeah, that's how it is. Although they said so, in reality, everyone knew that only half of what Satan said could be believed. The truth of the matter is that it was most likely Lin Chen and others from Planet Vegeta who ultimately dealt with Android 21. Only they could possibly have revived the people on Earth because they also have Dragon Balls. As for why Satan dared to take credit, the reason is quite simple, most likely, it was at the behest of Lin Chen and others. It must be said that Krillin and the others were not far off from their guess. As the people on Earth celebrated their narrow escape, the atmosphere on Planet Vegeta began to turn peculiar. Normally, after fulfilling a wish, the divine dragon would naturally disappear. However, this time, after granting the wish, the five-clawed golden dragon remained silent and did not immediately depart. 1 minute. 3 minutes. 5 minutes. After several minutes of this standoff with the divine dragon, the people around Lin Chen couldn't stand it any longer and began to inquire. Lin Chen, what's going on? Why isn't the divine dragon leaving? Your Majesty, what's going on with the divine dragon? Even Lin Chen himself couldn't understand what was going on with it. The current situation was something he had never encountered before. Divine dragon, is there something else you need? Lin Chen finally asked. At this moment, the divine dragon finally spoke, but its words left everyone shocked. Lin Chen, I look forward to your next wish. With that, the divine dragon transformed into a golden light and flew off in all directions. This time, Lin Chen was so astonished by the divine dragon's words that he almost forgot to gather the Dragon Balls. When he saw the Dragon Balls scattering, he hurriedly acted. Fortunately, the current Lin Chen had mastered the power of space and time, so gathering the Dragon Balls was not difficult. Once he had gathered the Dragon Balls, the others immediately crowded around. The divine dragon's words had left them deeply puzzled. Your Majesty, what just happened with the divine dragon? At this moment, Old Kai suddenly pushed through the crowd and approached. Lin Chen, let me see your Dragon Balls. Lin Chen handed over the Dragon Balls, which had turned into stones. Old Kai only took a glance and his expression changed drastically. Lin Chen. It seems like your Dragon Balls have been contaminated by evil energy. Upon hearing Old Kai's words, Lin Chen looked puzzled and asked, evil energy's contamination? What do you mean by that? Old Kai raised his hand, and one of the Dragon Balls flew in front of them. Pointing at the Dragon Ball that had turned into stone, Old Kai said, Lin Chen, take a closer look. Since you've already grasped the power of laws, you should be able to sense the evil energy within this Dragon Ball. Lin Chen did that and indeed sensed a dark energy within the Dragon Ball. This dark energy was similar to the divine aura, impossible to detect without using the power of laws. However, compared to the divine aura, this aura was noticeably much more sinister, aptly described as evil energy. What could this be? Lin Chen checked the other 6 Dragon Balls and found a trace of sinister aura within them as well. Lin Chen couldn't help but be stunned. What was going on? Could it be that his Dragon Balls were giving birth to shadow dragons? Old Kai, do you know what's happening here? I don't know either. I know very little about Namekians' Dragon Balls. Perhaps you should go and ask a Namekian. Namekian? A figure appeared in Lin Chen's mind. He reached out, retrieved the Dragon Balls into his system space, and then briefed the others before leaving Planet Vegeta and heading for Earth. On lookout, the new Kami-Dend had already been resurrected. Over a dozen years had passed, and Dend had grown to be as tall as Lin Chen's chest. Seeing Lin Chen, he happily greeted, "Mr. Lin Chen. It was you who used the Dragon Balls to revive the people on Earth, right?" Mr. Popo told me. Mr. Popo was also accompanying Dend, and just like before, he stood there with a vacant look and an expressionless face, never uttering a word. Lin Chen nodded to Mr. Popo before saying, "Dend, I was the one who revived the people on Earth using the Dragon Balls I've created. However, it seems there's a problem now. It appears that my Dragon Balls have been contaminated by evil energy." Evil energy's contamination? What's going on? With a wave of his hand, Lin Chen brought out the 7 Saiyans Dragon Balls. "Are these the Dragon Balls you made, Mr. Lin Chen? They're amazing." Dend picked up one of the Dragon Balls and, with just one glance, exclaimed and nearly dropped it. "What's wrong?" Dend raised his head, his expression serious as he said, "Mr. Lin Chen, your Dragon Balls have indeed been contaminated by evil energy. If my guess is correct, this evil energy is likely the result of the Dragon Balls absorbing too much negative energy. What wish did you make this time?" "I wish to revive those killed by Majin Buu and Android 21, Lin Chen replied, but he hesitated for a moment, then added, "By the way, I also had the Dragon Balls erase the negative emotions of those people. Everyone on Earth would have remembered their death, and if I didn't remove them, the whole planet would have descended into chaos. The problem likely stems from there," Den speculated. When erasing negative emotions, Mr. Lin Chen's divine dragon likely absorbed a lot of negative energy. The negative energy was too much, and it condensed into evil energy, affecting the Dragon Balls. "Will this have any consequences?" Lin Chen asked. "I can't say for sure. Next time you summon the divine dragon, there may be unfavorable consequences, much like the calamity on planet Namek years ago." Dend hadn't finished speaking when Mr. Popo, who had remained silent behind him, suddenly spoke up. "I'm afraid Shadow Dragon might appear." "Shadow Dragon?" Lin Chen looked towards Mr. Popo. Mr. Popo continued, "Divine Dragon is the embodiment of miracle power, a messenger for fulfilling people's wishes. However, sometimes, not all wishes are good. When granting these wishes, the Divine Dragon can get infected by the karma of those desires and be influenced by various negative energies. Once these negative energies accumulate too much, the Divine Dragon, originally meant for granting wishes, will transform into Black Smoke Shinran, which grants destructive wishes. The calamity on planet Namek in the past was caused by the appearance of Black Smoke Shinran, which destroyed the planet's environment. So, Mr. Lin Chen, the next time you summon the Divine Dragon, it won't be the wish-granting Divine Dragon that appears, but rather the Shadow Dragon that will destroy everything." Mr. Popo's words made Lin Chen pause and contemplate. Lin Chen had no reason to doubt Mr. Popo's words, and, in fact, he knew that there was a similar setting in the Dragon Ball world. In the world of Dragon Ball GT, for instance, the Earth's Shinran eventually transformed into shadow dragons, leading to a catastrophic event. So, the possibility of his divine dragon becoming a shadow dragon wasn't out of the question. However, Mr. Popo, I've only used my Dragon Balls a few times in total, right? I haven't used them much in the past decade. Why is this happening? Lin Chen inquired. Mr. Popo explained, if it were the Namekians favored by the dragon god Zalama, these negative energies would have gradually dissipated over time in line with the benevolent beliefs of the Namekians who created the Dragon Balls. But, Mr. Lin Chen, you gained the power to create Dragon Balls through Super Shenron, not directly from the dragon god Zalama-sama himself. So, the negative energy accumulating in your Dragon Balls won't have a chance to dissipate. So, that's how it is. After all this effort, even the power bestowed by Super Shenron turns out to be nothing more than a defective product. Lin Chen couldn't help but feel speechless. Mr. Popo, is there any way to resolve this? I've gone through so much to obtain the power to create Dragon Balls, I've even traveled to 2 universes. Well, since your power comes from Super Shenron, perhaps the only solution is to seek Super Shenron's assistance once again, Mr. Popo replied. However, just as Mr. Popo finished speaking, Lin Chen heard the system's voice in his ear. Ding! Detecting that host has triggered the Shadow Dragon Saga, triggering the strongest choices. Choice 1, look for Super Shenron to eliminate the evil energy from the Dragon Balls. Reward, wish from Planet Vegeta's Dragon Balls +1. Choice 2, within 1 year, comprehend the power of miracles and use your own strength to eliminate the evil energy from the Dragon Balls. Reward, intermediate power of miracles. Choice 3, within 1 year, travel to Parallel World 1548 and complete a special task in the 1548 world. Specific task will be revealed upon arrival, and find a way to eliminate the evil energy from the Dragon Balls. Reward, elementary power of miracles. As the notification sound rang in his mind, Lin Chen was taken aback. The strongest choices have appeared again. Moreover, this time, the choices were related to the new power of miracles. This made Lin Chen couldn't help but examine them carefully. Upon hearing Old Kai's words, Lin Chen looked puzzled and asked, evil energies contamination. What do you mean by that? Old Kai raised his hand, and one of the Dragon Balls flew in front of them. Pointing at the Dragon Ball that had turned into stone, Old Kai said, Lin Chen, take a closer look. Since you've already grasped the power of laws, you should be able to sense the evil energy within this Dragon Ball. Lin Chen did that and indeed sensed a dark energy within the Dragon Ball. This dark energy was similar to the divine aura, impossible to detect without using the power of laws. However, compared to the divine aura, this aura was noticeably much more sinister, aptly described as evil energy. What could this be? Lin Chen checked the other 6 Dragon Balls and found a trace of sinister aura within them as well. Lin Chen couldn't help but be stunned. What was going on? Could it be that his Dragon Balls were giving birth to shadow dragons? Old Kai, do you know what's happening here? I don't know either. I know very little about Namekians' Dragon Balls. Perhaps you should go and ask a Namekian. Namekian? A figure appeared in Lin Chen's mind. He reached out, retrieved the Dragon Balls into his system space, and then briefed the others before leaving Planet Vegeta and heading for Earth. On lookout, the new Kami-Dend had already been resurrected. Over a dozen years had passed, and Dend had grown to be as tall as Lin Chen's chest. Seeing Lin Chen, he happily greeted, Mr. Lin Chen. It was you who used the Dragon Balls to revive the people on Earth, right? Mr. Popo told me. Mr. Popo was also accompanying Dend, and just like before, he stood there with a vacant look and an expressionless face, never uttering a word. Lin Chen nodded to Mr. Popo before saying, Dend, I was the one who revived the people on Earth using the Dragon Balls I've created. However, it seems there's a problem now. It appears that my Dragon Balls have been contaminated by evil energy. Evil energy's contamination. What's going on? With a wave of his hand, Lin Chen brought out the 7 Saiyans Dragon Balls. Are these the Dragon Balls you made, Mr. Lin Chen? They're amazing. Dend picked up one of the Dragon Balls and, with just one glance, exclaimed and nearly dropped it. What's wrong? Dend raised his head, his expression serious as he said, Mr. Lin Chen, your Dragon Balls have indeed been contaminated by evil energy. If my guess is correct, this evil energy is likely the result of the Dragon Balls absorbing too much negative energy. What wish did you make this time? I wish to revive those killed by Majin Buu and Android 21, Lin Chen replied, but he hesitated for a moment, then added, by the way, I also had the Dragon Balls erase the negative emotions of those people. Everyone on Earth would have remembered their death, and if I didn't remove them, the whole planet would have descended into chaos. The problem likely stems from there, Den speculated. When erasing negative emotions, Mr. Lin Chen's divine dragon likely absorbed a lot of negative energy. The negative energy was too much, and it condensed into evil energy, affecting the Dragon Balls. Will this have any consequences? Lin Chen asked. I can't say for sure. Next time you summon the divine dragon, there may be unfavorable consequences, much like the calamity on planet Namek years ago. Dend hadn't finished speaking when Mr. Popo, who had remained silent behind him, suddenly spoke up. I'm afraid Shadow Dragon might appear. Shadow Dragon? Lin Chen looked towards Mr. Popo. Mr. Popo continued, Divine Dragon is the embodiment of miracle power, a messenger for fulfilling people's wishes. However, sometimes, not all wishes are good. When granting these wishes, the divine dragon can get infected by the karma of those desires and be influenced by various negative energies. Once these negative energies accumulate too much, the divine dragon, originally meant for granting wishes, will transform into black smoke Shinran, which grants destructive wishes. The calamity on planet Namek in the past was caused by the appearance of black smoke Shinran, which destroyed the planet's environment. So, Mr. Lin Chen, the next time you summon the divine dragon, it won't be the wish-granting divine dragon that appears, but rather the shadow dragon that will destroy everything. Mr. Popo's words made Lin Chen pause and contemplate. Lin Chen had no reason to doubt Mr. Popo's words, and, in fact, he knew that there was a similar setting in the Dragon Ball world. In the world of Dragon Ball GT, for instance, the Earth's Shinran eventually transformed into shadow dragons, leading to a catastrophic event. So, the possibility of his divine dragon becoming a shadow dragon wasn't out of the question. However, Mr. Popo, I've only used my Dragon Balls a few times in total, right? I haven't used them much in the past decade. Why is this happening? Lin Chen inquired. Mr. Popo explained, if it were the Namekians favored by the dragon god Zalama, these negative energies would have gradually dissipated over time in line with the benevolent beliefs of the Namekians who created the Dragon Balls. But, Mr. Lin Chen, you gained the power to create Dragon Balls through Super Shinran, not directly from the dragon god Zalama-sama himself. So, the negative energy accumulating in your Dragon Balls won't have a chance to dissipate. So, that's how it is. After all this effort, even the power bestowed by Super Shinran turns out to be nothing more than a defective product. Lin Chen couldn't help but feel speechless. Mr. Popo, is there any way to resolve this? I've gone through so much to obtain the power to create Dragon Balls, I've even traveled to 2 universes. Well, since your power comes from Super Shinran, perhaps the only solution is to seek Super Shenron's assistance once again, Mr. Popo replied. However, just as Mr. Popo finished speaking, Lin Chen heard the system's voice in his ear. Ding! Detecting that host has triggered the Shadow Dragon Saga, triggering the strongest choices. Choice 1, look for Super Shinran to eliminate the evil energy from the Dragon Balls. Reward, wish from Planet Vegeta's Dragon Balls +1. Choice 2, within 1 year, comprehend the power of miracles and use your own strength to eliminate the evil energy from the Dragon Balls. Reward, intermediate power of miracles. Choice 3, within 1 year, travel to parallel world 1548 and complete a special task in the 1548 world. Specific task will be revealed upon arrival, and find a way to eliminate the evil energy from the Dragon Balls. Reward, elementary power of miracles. As the notification sound rang in his mind, Lin Chen was taken aback. The strongest choices have appeared again. Moreover, this time, the choices were related to the new power of miracles. This made Lin Chen couldn't help but examine them carefully. After a closer look, Lin Chen immediately became somewhat excited. Because this time, the mission unexpectedly involved a new power of law, the power of miracles. Lin Chen already had a rough idea of what this power of miracles was. The divine dragon's wish-granting power was, in fact, a type of power of miracles. So, in a sense, the might of the power of miracles was definitely not inferior to any of the 4 power of laws that Lin Chen currently possessed. Among the 3 choices, the first one had nothing to do with the power of laws, only increasing the number of wishes, which didn't appeal to Lin Chen at all, so he dismissed it immediately. As for choice 2, it was quite difficult. Lin Chen had already mastered 4 power of laws, so he knew very well that trying to comprehend these 4 power of laws on his own, without the system's help, would take decades, if not longer, to even master one of them. In the original work, even someone as talented as Goku couldn't ultimately comprehend any power of law. Instead he took a different path and progressed through different techniques. Now, choice 2 required Lin Chen to comprehend the power of miracles within a year, which seemed completely impractical. How could Lin Chen achieve that? So, his choice seemed quite clear. System, I choose 3. Ding, the host has made the selection. Please complete the mission as soon as possible. Heading to parallel world 1548 meant that Lin Chen would have to use time points. Fortunately, Lin Chen had accumulated quite a few in the past few years, so he could afford it this time. The only problem was that the mission would only appear when he arrived in that world, which made Lin Chen a bit worried. But since the choice was made, there was no turning back. Lin Chen now possessed 4 power of laws, but because they were only in the initial stages of mastery, his divine realm was only at the advanced first level. However, if he could master the 5th power of law, it was very likely that Lin Chen's divine realm would break through to the 2nd level. With his next objective confirmed, Lin Chen bid farewell to Dend and the others. Although summoning the divine dragon had taken an unexpected turn this time, at least Lin Chen's wish had been successfully granted. With the power of divine dragon and Mr. Satan's statement, peace soon returned to Earth, and the days of peace began again. As for Lin Chen, after some preparations, he began his journey to the new world. Leaving Planet Vegeta, Lin Chen continuously teleported through space several times. After arriving at the same place where he had opened the space-time door many times before, he glanced at the vast and endless black hole in front of him and activated the power of time within him. A colorful and dazzling light shone in the dark expanse of space, forming a space-time door. Lin Chen took a look and then stepped directly into it. It had been a long time since he had traveled through time and space like this, and he couldn't help but take a few more glances at the passage in front of him. After a while, Lin Chen passed through the portal. Not long after, a familiar yet unfamiliar world appeared before Lin Chen. Is this parallel world 1548? I wonder what my mission is this time. After some thought, to confirm the time period of this world, Lin Chen decided to visit Earth first. Not long after, Lin Chen locked onto Earth's location and quickly teleported there. As he descended on Earth, Lin Chen suddenly sensed a few familiar auras. Is this Majin Buu's aura? Has time in this world also reached this point? Who is fighting Majin Buu? Gohan or Vegeta? It seems like they're in trouble. Despite being miles away, Lin Chen could clearly assess the situation in the distance. It appears that the time period is when Majin Buu had just appeared. Judging from Majin Buu's aura, the time period should be when Majin Buu had just awakened. Having identified the time period, Lin Chen instantly teleported to wilderness miles away. As he had anticipated, the seal on Majin Buu had already been broken, and the Z fighters on Earth were locked in a fierce battle with him. However, what surprised Lin Chen was that the current situation was slightly different from what he knew from history. Several meters away, Supreme Kai Shin had been pierced through the chest and had stopped breathing. Furthermore, Gohan was lying on the ground, lifeless. Not far away, Tien Shinhan was covered in injuries, and behind him, Trunks and Goten, the two children, were trembling in fear. Only Vegeta was still engaged in battle with Majin Buu. But even full-power Super Saiyan 1 Vegeta was clearly at a disadvantage and appeared to be on the brink of death. In addition to the situation not aligning with Lin Chen's memories, there was another perplexing aspect. Where is Goku? According to the original work storyline, Goku should have returned from the other world. Why wasn't he here? And Gohan had died as well? Due to the lack of information and the absence of any mission prompts, Lin Chen decided not to take any action for the time being. After all, having spent 10 years with the Supreme Kai of Time, Lin Chen understood that he should refrain from acting unnecessarily to avoid disrupting history unless it was necessary. Under his watchful gaze, the battle in the distance was reaching its conclusion. However, it seemed that this world was destined to be a dark one. After exhausting his last remaining energy, Vegeta entrusted Trunks to Piccolo and then self-destructed with Majin Buu to cover their escape. But Majin Buu wasn't going to be defeated that easily, of course. Vegeta had used his life to turn Majin Buu into a cloud of gas for a moment. However, when Majin Buu recovered, he quickly turned his attention to the fleeing Piccolo and the others, following the orders of the wizard Babidi. It was at this moment that Lin Chen suddenly heard a prompt from the system. Ding! Reminder to the host, the current mission objective has been updated, help Piccolo defeat Majin Buu on his own without personally intervening. Lin Chen was taken aback. Is this really the mission? Indeed, the missions assigned by the system are undoubtedly never easy. Helping Piccolo defeat Majin Buu on his own, at first glance, seemed like an impossible mission. While Piccolo had once been a boss-level character in the Dragon Ball world, someone who could compete with Goku and others, but by the time of the Cell Saga, he had already fallen behind in terms of combat strength. During the Majin Buu saga, Piccolo had just become a commentator and had virtually no standout moments. How could he help Piccolo defeat the formidable Majin Buu without personally intervening? Wah! At this moment, Piccolo was hurriedly fleeing with the bawling Goten and Trunks. Because he had witnessed Vegeta's tragic death, Trunks had already lost control of his emotions and was clamoring to go back and avenge his father. Goten, too, was crying uncontrollably over the death of his brother, Gohan. Piccolo, unable to calm them down, had no choice but to use force to knock the two out and then carry them away quickly. However, in this vast world, Piccolo had no idea where to escape to now. With Gohan and Vegeta both dead, it seemed that this world was ultimately doomed. Goku! If you were still here, Piccolo gritted his teeth, struggling to support himself. Goku hasn't returned from the other world. Just then, a cold voice suddenly rang out. Piccolo abruptly stopped, raised his head, and was astonished to see a handsome young man floating above him. Moreover, the guy's aura was unfathomable. Seeing another person appearing in the sky, and one who didn't seem weak, Piccolo's expression immediately darkened. Darn it, I didn't even notice how this person appeared. Besides Majin Buu on Earth, how can there be such a powerful expert? Piccolo's body began to tremble uncontrollably, and he couldn't determine whether this person was a friend or foe. However, at that moment, Piccolo suddenly noticed a tail swaying behind the person. A Saiyan? Are you a Saiyan? Piccolo's face was filled with shock. In this world, there was still a Saiyan he hadn't met before. Who are you exactly? No need to be nervous, I am your savior, Lin Chen said with a calm smile and then looked into the distance. He sensed that Majin Buu's aura was rapidly approaching. Buu is coming. Let's leave first and find a safe place to talk. A safe place? Before Piccolo could react, Lin Chen had already appeared in front of him and placed a hand on his shoulder. This entire process caught Piccolo completely off guard. Before Piccolo could react, they had already teleported away from the scene. A moment later, Majin Buu and the wizard Babidi arrived at the scene. Majin Buu and Babidi were both taken aback when they saw that their target had disappeared. They had no idea how the other had vanished. Meanwhile, on lookout, Lin Chen and the others appeared in the square of the lookout. As soon as they landed, Piccolo recognized the place where they were. However, he was puzzled about how this unfamiliar Saiyan knew about this location. Mr. Piccolo. In the distance, Den's concerned voice rang out. Den and Mr. Popo quickly walked towards the group. Seeing that Piccolo was okay, Den sighed in relief. Thank goodness, Mr. Piccolo, you're safe. However, Piccolo wasn't relieved. Instead, he slammed the ground forcefully in frustration. Bang! What's the use of being safe? Gohan is already dead. Vegeta is dead too. Den, Earth is on the brink of destruction. It's okay, we still have the Dragon Balls. As Kami, Den naturally knew what had happened in the mortal world and tried to comfort Piccolo immediately. But Piccolo shook his head. What can we do with the Dragon Balls? Den, Earth is likely to be destroyed soon. Haven't you seen what's happening down there? Den paused, then understood what Piccolo meant. Because at this moment, cities on Earth were disappearing one after another. The wizard Babidi was wreaking havoc with Majin Buu in tow. In the face of the mighty Majin Buu, what could they do even with the Dragon Balls? Sorry, what's happening to this world? Where's Goku? Can someone explain to me? Hearing Lin Chen's voice, Piccolo suddenly realized he was still here. Piccolo immediately turned around and asked, "Who are you?" "Me. I'm your savior." "Quit kidding." Piccolo was about to rebuke but was taken by surprise as Lin Chen, who should have been standing in front of him, suddenly appeared behind him. Lin Chen's hand extended from the side of Piccolo's cheek, saying jokingly, "If I had wanted to just now, you would already be dead." Piccolo was greatly shocked. Who exactly was this person? How could he be so powerful? And just when everyone was astonished, Mr. Popo, who was standing nearby, suddenly said, "Don't worry, Mr. Piccolo, this Mr. may be from another world." Another world? Lin Chen looked at Mr. Popo, who had revealed his identity, with some surprise, then smiled and said, "That's right, Piccolo. I've indeed come from a different world. In my world, there was also a Majin Buu, but I've already killed him. So you don't need to worry, as long as I'm here, the world won't be destroyed." Really? That's great. Sir, could you please hurry and eliminate Majin Buu? Den implored. But Lin Chen shook his head. I can help, but I want to know more about this world situation first. I'm curious, where did Goku go? He died a few years ago, Piccolo explained with a gloomy expression. This didn't surprise Lin Chen. After all, in the original work, Goku died during the Cell Games. But what Piccolo said next left him stunned. I killed him with my own hands. Huh. After some inquiry, Lin Chen learned the history of this world. He understood why this mission was to help Piccolo rather than having Goten and the other Saiyans defeat Buu. It was all because in this world, Piccolo is the protagonist. Everything started many years ago during the battle with Frieza. The history of this world before Planet Namek was nearly identical to the Dragon Ball world Lin Chen was familiar with. However, on Planet Namek, history took a different course. At that time, the resurrected Piccolo fused with the Namekian nail, gaining power beyond his limits for the first time. Then, when confronting Frieza, Piccolo, driven by Nail's grudge, showed no mercy. With his newfound immense power, he immediately killed Frieza, who was in his second form. This change led to the divergence between this world and the Dragon Ball world Lin Chen knew. Because Frieza was killed prematurely, events like Goku becoming a Super Saiyan didn't occur. It wasn't until later, when Frieza was resurrected and attacked Earth, and Trunks appeared to warn about the android threat, that the Saiyans on Earth learned about the concept of a Super Saiyan. Because of this, the main force who saved this world shifted from Goku and the other Saiyans to Piccolo. The impact of hindsight is immense, as it wasn't until Trunks appeared that Goku and Vegeta learned of the existence of Super Saiyans. Both Goku and Vegeta struggled immensely to reach the level of Super Saiyan in the short 3 years that followed. So when Android 17 and 18 appeared, Goku and Vegeta were quickly defeated. Fortunately, the protagonist of this world was not Goku or Vegeta, it was Piccolo. As the Super Saiyans fell in battle, Piccolo finally revealed his protagonist's aura. Fusing with Kami, Piccolo surpassed his limits and successfully defeated 17 and 18. However, an unexpected turn of events occurred. This unexpected event was Cell. As Cell reached his perfect form, he became nearly unstoppable, even for Piccolo. To defeat Cell in the Cell games, Piccolo and the others embarked on grueling training. Though the training progressed smoothly, in the final battle, neither Piccolo or Goku had the strength to defeat Cell completely. As for Gohan, sadly, in this world, he did not become the savior. In the end, it was Piccolo and Goku who stepped up. Just like the battle against Raditz, Goku and Piccolo, in order to win, set aside their pride and teamed up to face Cell. As Goku sacrificed his life to trap Cell, Piccolo severely injured Cell with his final Masenko beam cannon attack, causing Cell to spit out 18 and lose his perfect form. Seizing this opportunity, Piccolo finally succeeded in killing Cell, but the cost was immense. Earth had forever lost the formidable warrior, Goku. The following events were familiar to Lin Chen. Just like in Lin Chen's world, the wizard Babidi arrived on Earth and resurrected Majin Buu. To combat this threat, Z warriors, led by Supreme Kai, launched a counterattack against Majin Buu. However, the outcome was tragic. With no Super Saiyan 3, Piccolo at Super Saiyan 2 level was the strongest among them, along with Vegeta, who remained at full power Super Saiyan 1 due to losing his will to fight after losing his eternal rival. The strength of the Z warriors was completely inadequate in the face of Majin Buu, and the final outcome was naturally extremely tragic. I understand. Hearing this, Lin Chen nodded. I can lend you a hand against Majin Buu, but I will only impart you the power. I won't intervene in the battle against Majin Buu. Why? Piccolo was somewhat surprised. Sorry, but I'm not from your world, after all. I can't get too involved in your world's affairs, Lin Chen casually offered an excuse. Dend looked regretful. Mr. Lin Chen, most of the warriors on Earth have already sacrificed themselves. Just Mr. Piccolo. Dend, that's enough, Piccolo interrupted Dend and turned to Lin Chen. Mr. Lin Chen, as long as it can save this world, I'm willing to do anything. Very well. Lin Chen nodded and then borrowed the hyperbolic time chamber from Mr. Popo to train alongside Piccolo. So far, this was the only method he could think of to accomplish the mission. Of course, according to the rules of the hyperbolic time chamber, a person can only enter for a maximum of 2 days, and once that time is exceeded, the exit will be sealed. And Piccolo had already used up all his time in the past in order to deal with Cell. However, Lin Chen's current power far exceeded that of a Super Saiyan 3. The rules of the hyperbolic time chamber were no longer effective against him. Even if the exit sealed shut, he could easily break through dimensions and come out. So, at Lin Chen's insistence, Piccolo entered the hyperbolic time chamber with him. Inside the chamber, Lin Chen started from scratch, teaching Piccolo everything he could. Since he couldn't directly intervene in Piccolo's battle with Buu, he could only hope to help Piccolo grow to at least the level of a Super Saiyan 3. Lin Chen's idea was a good one, but this time he clearly overestimated Piccolo's potential. In fact, it had been a full decade since Piccolo fused with Kami. For a Namekian like Piccolo, who had little interest in the human world, these 10 years had been spent almost entirely in training. Because of this, Piccolo had already exhausted the potential he gained from the fusion. After 6 months inside the hyperbolic time chamber, even though Lin Chen diligently shared his insights and training methods, Piccolo's potential had seemingly reached its limit. In those 6 months, there was hardly any noticeable increase in his strength. The only thing that gave Lin Chen some comfort was that Piccolo had finally learned the Kaioken technique in these 6 months. With Piccolo's current strength, which was close to Super Saiyan 2, if he could master a higher multiple of Kaioken, he might have a chance against Majin Buu. Seeing success on the horizon, both Lin Chen and Piccolo couldn't help but give it their all. And so, another year passed. Kaioken 4x. Inside the hyperbolic time chamber, Piccolo roared and a fiery red aura enveloped his body. Immediately after, Piccolo moved swiftly and attacked Lin Chen, who had already transformed into Super Saiyan 3. Piccolo was fast, but in Lin Chen's eyes, it was just as so. Lin Chen was currently transformed into Super Saiyan 3, aiming to imitate the strength of Majin Buu and determine whether Piccolo has any hope of defeating Majin Buu under 4x Kaioken. Unfortunately, even though Lin Chen's current strength is possibly higher than Majin Buu's, even if you exclude the gap between the two sides, Lin Chen still does not think that Piccolo has a chance of winning. Both Kaioken and Super Saiyan 3 were techniques that consumed an extreme amount of stamina. Piccolo's current strength is close to Majin Buu, and defeating him would be extremely difficult, let alone winning within a time limit. Shaking his head, Lin Chen no longer deliberately exposed weaknesses. Instead, he crossed his fingers and flicked them towards Piccolo. Boom! A streak of light shot out, and Piccolo's body appeared to be hit with an immensely powerful force. He flew out like a cannonball and crashed onto the ground, almost completely losing his strength. Lin Chen sighed and approached, placing his hand on Piccolo's chest and using the power of creation to heal his injuries. It won't work. With your current strength, you can at best fight Majin Buu to a draw. Just a draw. Mr. Lin Chen, what if I try 5x no, 6x Kaioken? Piccolo was somewhat reluctant. Lin Chen quickly advised, don't do anything foolish. For X Kaioken is Namekian's limit, and that can't be changed. We need to think of another way. There must be another method to enhance your strength. The current situation left Lin Chen deeply troubled. Majin Buu's strength was clearly beyond the norm for this era. Perhaps, apart from Piccolo comprehending the power of laws and reaching the divine realm, there was no other way to make him stronger. But teaching power of laws except for the power of time, all of Lin Chen's other power of laws came from the system, so he himself didn't know how to teach it. Just when Lin Chen was feeling troubled, Piccolo said with a frown, any other way? But Mr. Lin Chen, I've already unlocked all my hidden potential by fusing with Kami and Nail. Are you suggesting I fuse with Den now? It won't work, his power is too far below mine, even if we fused, it wouldn't help me. Halfway through Piccolo's words, Lin Chen suddenly paused, interrupting him. Piccolo, what did you just say? Me? I didn't say anything. You did. Repeat what you said earlier. With a bewildered look, Piccolo complied, I said fusing with Kami and Nail. Lin Chen clapped his hands, saying, that's it. I can't believe I didn't think of this method before. Piccolo, I know how to help you break through your limits. Really? Lin Chen smirked, the first smile in a year and a half. Then, Lin Chen reached out and created a spatial rift right in front of them, beyond which was the lookout. Let's go, Piccolo. Your training is over. Over? But Mr. Lin Chen, I am now. Don't worry, you'll soon have enough power to defeat Majin Buu. With that, Lin Chen led the way, diving into the spatial rift. Although Piccolo didn't understand what was happening, he had no choice but to follow. As they passed through the rift, Piccolo suddenly remembered something. How did Lin Chen create this spatial rift? The ability to casually create such a rift in space was truly unfathomable. When Lin Chen and Piccolo arrived on the lookout, Dend and Mr. Popo immediately approached them. Seeing the two arrive, Dend looked relieved. Thank goodness. Piccolo, I was afraid you wouldn't make it. Dend, what's going on? Has something happened? Dend nodded. It's Majin Buu. Mr. Piccolo, Majin Buu has become even stronger. At Denda's words, Piccolo finally noticed that Majin Buu's aura on Earth was indeed different from before. If the previous Majin Buu had a chaotic mix of good and evil in his aura, the current Majin Buu was purely evil. Piccolo turned to Lin Chen with concern. Mr. Lin Chen, this. Don't worry. Lin Chen confidently smiled and asked Dend, have you collected the Earth's Dragon Balls? Dend looked at Mr. Popo beside him. To revive everyone on Earth, Mr. Popo has already gathered all the Dragon Balls. But Mr. Lin Chen, why are you? I need the power of Shenron to defeat Majin Buu. The power of Shenron? Piccolo couldn't understand. What use could Dragon Balls be at this point? Majin Buu was so powerful that Shenron wouldn't be able to deal with it. When Piccolo voiced his doubt, Lin Chen chuckled. Piccolo, I don't need the Dragon Balls to defeat Majin Buu, I need them for you. Me? Piccolo looked puzzled. Lin Chen didn't explain further and summoned Shenron. When Shenron appeared, everything became clear. Shenron, please revive the great demon King Piccolo who died before. Upon hearing Lin Chen's request, Piccolo's eyes widened. Then, he finally understood Lin Chen's intentions. So, this is it. I never thought that the current me isn't the real me. Just as Piccolo had realized. Lin Chen's intention was precisely to make Piccolo return to his original self, the Namekian without a name who had not yet been split in two to expel the evil thoughts. Back then, the Namekian, in order to become Earth's Kami, expelled all the evil thoughts from his body, giving birth to Great Demon King Piccolo and Earth's Kami. Although Piccolo later fused with Earth's Kami during the Android Saga, at this point, he had not fully returned to his original self. Because Piccolo had forgotten that he was not the true Great Demon King Piccolo, but rather the second-generation Piccolo born when the original Great Demon King Piccolo was near death. While Piccolo did inherit the power of the original Great Demon King Piccolo and even surpassed him, the current Piccolo was still not the true Great Demon King Piccolo. So, his fusion with Kami did not truly make him the Namekian he once was. So what Lin Chen needed to do was to resurrect the real Great Demon King Piccolo and merge him with Piccolo once again. To completely transform him back into the original Namekian. The Super Namekian hailed as a true genius by the Namekian Great Elder. Thy wish has been granted. As Shenron's eyes emitted a red light, a figure appeared on the lookout. And this figure was none other than the original Great Demon King Piccolo. Didn't I die? Is this the lookout? Ha! That old BA** tard isn't here. Hey! What's going on here? Shenron, our wish ends here, you can leave now. Understood. After bidding farewell to Shenron, Lin Chen turned to Piccolo, who was still in shock. Piccolo, become your true self again. Yes. Piccolo nodded vigorously, clenched his fists, and approached Great Demon King Piccolo. Ha! You are. Seeing someone who looked so similar to himself and even emitting an aura reminiscent of old Kami, Great Demon King Piccolo was momentarily stunned. Great Demon King Piccolo, no, I should say father, let's merge again. Let's become the same person as before. Piccolo said. Father? You're my son. Ha ha ha, don't joke with me. If you're my son, then what's with the Kami's aura on you? I've already merged with old Kami to save Earth. But now Earth faces an even more powerful enemy, and I need to return to my original self to defeat him. Piccolo explained earnestly, hoping to convince Great Demon King Piccolo to merge. But Great Demon King Piccolo seemed to find it all like a bad joke and couldn't stop laughing. In the end, he suddenly roared, "You fool! Who do you think I am? I am the embodiment of evil, Great Demon King Piccolo. I won't merge with anyone. And I certainly won't fight for some humans. Sorry, I really want you to agree, but the situation is urgent, so I can only force you." At this point, Piccolo didn't hesitate. Since Great Demon King Piccolo refused to cooperate, he chose to use force. Although in a sense, Great Demon King Piccolo was Piccolo's father, his current strength was no longer worth mentioning. With just one finger, Piccolo completely suppressed the Great Demon King Piccolo, forcing him to complete the merge. After a flash of light, Great Demon King Piccolo disappeared from his original spot, and what appeared in front of Lin Chen was Piccolo, now emitting an aura entirely different from before. Is this my original power? Piccolo stared at himself, finding it hard to believe. I can win. With my current self, I can defeat Buu. Ha! An aura suddenly erupted, causing the air to tremble, making Denda's face turn pale, and he struggled to maintain his balance. What a terrifying power! Is this really the power of a Namekian? Exactly! Lin Chen exclaimed with excitement, clenching his fists, this is Piccolo's true power. Now, he has finally become a real super Namekian. Fusion and assimilation within the same race can be considered the most powerful technique of the Namekians. Although the specific effects of this technique were not explicitly mentioned, one can make a reasonable assumption. In the original work, Piccolo, with an initial power level of only 1 or 2,000 on planet Namek, was at the brink of death. After merging with Nail, whose power level was just over 40,000, Piccolo's power level instantly exceeded 1 million. Later, during the Cell Saga, Piccolo had already attained a power level equivalent to that of the initial stages of Super Saiyan 1. Merging with Old Kami, whose power level was only a few hundred, instantly gave him the strength to rival Android 17. From this, it can be deduced that Namekian fusion, even in cases of varying strengths, can unleash at least tenfold the power. And now, the fusion of Piccolo and the Great Demon King Piccolo has also produced such an effect. Although Piccolo's power still falls short of Majin Buu's, this is only under normal state. With the addition of Kaioken, Piccolo now possesses power surpassing Majin Buu's. Mr. Piccolo Dend looked at the familiar yet unfamiliar Namekian in astonishment. It was the first time he had realized that Namekians could become so powerful. Hearing Denda shout, Piccolo raised his head and looked at Lin Chen and the others. I am no longer Piccolo, he continued, I am the nameless Namekian. In that case, how about we call you Kamehame-ha? Lin Chen suggested. Author has used different characters for Piccolo's name here, so I am using nameless Namekian's name here instead of Piccolo. Kamehame-ha? That works too. The former Piccolo nodded. Mr. Lin Chen, I'll take care of Majin Buu. Please watch from here. Kamehame-ha turned around, donned his cloak, and flew down towards the mortal world. At this moment, on Earth, the former Fat Buu had already been absorbed by the evil Buu released from within him, transforming into Kid Buu. The wizard Babidi had also been killed by Buu. Buu, now uncontrollable, had completely become a killing machine, reveling in destruction on Earth. And at that moment, Kamehame-ha appeared before Buu. Buu's eyes narrowed, feeling a strange power emanating from Kamehame-ha that even made a demon like him afraid. Who are you? You look somewhat like one of the opponents that I defeated before, but your aura is different. Kamehame-ha didn't answer but instead scanned his surroundings. This place used to be a city, but under Majin Buu's rampage, it had turned into ruins. Majin Buu, how many people have you killed? As the former Kami of Earth, I won't forgive you. With those words, an aura slightly less powerful than Majin Buu's instantly swept over Buu. Majin Buu was surprised at first, then grew angry. You are quite strong. I won't allow anyone to be stronger than me. Steam began to rise from Majin Buu's pores. Just as his voice fell, he clenched his fist and attacked Kamehame-ha. Kamehame-ha remained silent, channeling his power throughout his body and then activating Kaioken. Majin Buu's attack landed on him, only to be blocked by the energy barrier surrounding his entire body and then bounced back. Next, for Kaioken. Kamehame-ha's aura erupted out and shot towards the sky like a volcanic eruption. At this moment, his power completely overwhelmed Majin Buu. Kaioken placed immense strain on the body and couldn't be maintained at its peak for long. Kamehame-ha remembered Lin Chen's teachings as he clenched his fist and engaged in battle with Majin Buu. A fierce battle then began. Mushroom clouds rose in the sky, casting an ominous shadow over the earth. Fortunately, this world's earth had also undergone strengthening from the Dragon Balls in its early years, otherwise, the shockwaves from their battle alone might have destroyed the planet countless times. Boom! Kamehame-ha's attacks continued to rain down on Majin Buu, causing him to shake like a water ball and emit smoke from his entire body. In terms of battle experience and skills, Kamehame-ha had always been ahead of those Saiyans like Goku, and now he had obtained absolute power, easily overpowering Majin Buu. A series of attacks had Majin Buu seeing stars. Although he had the upper hand, Kamehame-ha remained serious. In the hyperbolic time chamber, Lin Chen had warned him to be cautious of Majin Buu's regenerative abilities, and now he was witnessing it firsthand. It was indeed beyond his imagination. Ordinary punches and kicks won't work, so let's try this explosive demon light cannon. Boom! A key blast was suddenly fired from a close range, the ferocious energy hitting Majin Buu. The entire sky was covered in blinding white light. Within the surging energy, Majin Buu's body was completely shattered, reduced to mere fragments. Confirming this, Kamehame-ha panted heavily, almost ready to exit his Kaioken state. It's finally done. But just then, he heard Lin Chen's voice. Kamehame-ha, you haven't succeeded yet. Majin Buu has only been temporarily dispersed. On the lookout, Lin Chen used Kamehameha's magic to remind him. As someone who had faced Majin Buu before, Lin Chen knew that defeating Majin Buu was no easy task. He had only succeeded by using the power of destruction back then to completely eliminate Buu. As for what Kamehame-ha should do now, to be honest, even Lin Chen had no clear plan. Everything relied on Kamehame-ha himself. Sure enough, not long after, Kamehame-ha noticed that a lot of smoke was gathering around him. These smoke clouds kept condensing and soon formed into Majin Buu again. This guy's vitality, can I really defeat him? Lin Chen reminded Kamehame-ha, ordinary attacks won't kill Buu. You must think of another way. Both the stage and the hardware had been prepared by Lin Chen for Kamehame-ha. He was the protagonist of this world, and Lin Chen believed he could find a way. Kamehame-ha stared at Majin Buu before him, who had resurrected and was looking quite pleased with himself. The opponent was currently laughing heartily, seemingly mocking Kamehame-ha for not being able to kill him. But Majin Buu didn't know that Kamehame-ha had figured out a method. Indeed, I can't kill you, but I learned a technique from Earthlings. If it's this technique, I can definitely defeat you. Majin Buu was momentarily puzzled before his mouth split into a grin. Impossible. I am unbeatable, you can't kill me. I may not be able to kill you, but I can seal you away. I never thought I'd use this technique. Seal me. Bang! A small bottle suddenly appeared in Kamehame-ha's hand. He quickly landed on the ground and placed the bottle on the ground. Then, he sneered at Buu, Buu, let me seal you once again. A technique to seal evil that cannot be defeated, evil containment wave. The purple-black vortex directly sucked Majin Buu into its center. Then, with a wave of Kamehame-ha's hand, this vortex, along with Majin Buu, plunged into the bottle placed on the ground, then he put a seal on the bottle. Sealing Majin Buu once again. Majin Buu, all you've left in this world is evil. Although it's pitiful, you should still forever reflect on your own sins within. Kamehame said quietly as he held the sealed bottle containing Bu. With that, he swallowed the bottle whole. As long as nothing happened to him, Majin Bu wouldn't have a chance to escape. When all was said and done, and peace was restored, Kamehame donned his cloak again and returned to the lookout. Facing Lin Chen, Kamehame bowed deeply and said gratefully, "Mr. Lin Chen, thank you. I have sealed Majin Bu." Lin Chen hadn't expected Kamehame to have this trick up his sleeve. He smiled and shook his head, "No need to thank me, Kamehame, this is all you're doing." With Majin Bu sealed, peace once again returned to Earth. However, Lin Chen's journey was far from over. According to the mission given by the system, Lin Chen needed to find a way to eliminate the evil energy from the Dragon Balls here. While it wasn't explicitly stated, the key to the problem likely lay with Kamehame. So, Lin Chen took out the 7 Dragon Balls he had stored in the system space, hoping to see if Kamehame knew something. Although they are both Piccolo, Kamehame in this world has inherited more memories from the original Great Demon King Piccolo than Piccolo in Lin Chen's world. Perhaps he will have some unexpected insights. Sure enough, when Kamehame saw Lin Chen's Dragon Balls, he exclaimed, "This evil energy. Mr. Lin Chen, your Dragon Balls have been contaminated with evil energy. If this continues, there might be an accident the next time you summon the Divine Dragon." Seeing that Kamehame had immediately identified the issue with the Dragon Balls, Lin Chen felt a glimmer of hope. "Kamehame, do you know how to resolve this situation?" Kamehame looked solemn for a moment and then said, "Mr. Lin Chen, if you had asked me this before, I wouldn't have known how to answer. But after assimilating with Great Demon King Piccolo, I gained many new memories. These memories were taken away by Great Demon King Piccolo when he split with Kami, which is why I didn't know before. But now, it's different." Pausing for a moment, Kamehame began to explain the method he knew to eliminate the evil energy. "Mr. Lin Chen, before I start explaining, may I ask if you, as someone with the ability to create Dragon Balls, is aware of the Dragon Realm?" "Dragon Realm?" Lin Chen pondered for a moment and then shook his head. He had never heard of such a place. Dragon Realm is where the Divine Dragons reside. The Divine Dragons we summon are actually from the Dragon Realm. These Divine Dragons were originally shapeless spirits, but we gave them physical forms in the mortal world when we created the Dragon Balls. After they grant wishes and disappear, their true forms return to the Dragon Realm. There's a place like that? Lin Chen was shocked. "I've never heard of it either," Dend was also surprised. "This is an ancient secret passed down among the ancient Namekians. It's normal for you not to know." Kamehame explained before returning to the main point. In any case, the Dragon Realm is the residence of all Divine Dragons. When Dragon Balls become tainted with evil energy, it means that the Divine Dragons in the Dragon Realm have absorbed the negative emotions from the wishes granted in the mortal world. If these negative emotions are not too strong, the Divine Dragons usually dissipate them over time. But if the power of the Dragon Balls is abused excessively or for some reason, the negative emotions cannot be dissipated, then the Divine Dragon will become tainted by it. Much like my past self, I too developed evil thoughts within me due to getting tainted by Earthlings' evil thoughts. At times like this, the Divine Dragon will, like us Namekians, expel all the evil thoughts from within themselves to maintain their purity. However, doing so might give birth to a black smoke Shinran, just as when Kami expelled his evil thoughts, he gave birth to Great Demon King Piccolo. So, Mr. Lin Chen, to eliminate the evil energy from the Dragon Balls, you must go to the Dragon Realm and purify the black smoke Shinran on behalf of your Divine Dragon. After hearing Kamehameha's explanation, Lin Chen was even more confused. He had never heard of the Dragon Realm before, so how could he go there? "Kamehameha, how do I go to the Dragon Realm?" This, Kamehameha was also at a loss. While he knew about the Dragon Realm and Black Smoke Shinran from Great Demon King Piccolo's memories, he didn't know how to go to the Dragon Realm. Ding! Congratulations, host, for completing the task of finding a way to eliminate the evil power of the Dragon Balls. Reward, elementary power of miracles. At that moment, the prompt in Lin Chen's ear confirmed that Kamehame-ha's information was correct. Going to the Dragon Realm to purify the Shadow Dragon was indeed the method the mission had tasked Lin Chen with to cleanse the Dragon Balls. Now the question was, how should he go to the Dragon Realm? As Lin Chen pondered whether to return to his own world and seek the omniscient Zuno's help, a voice suddenly spoke up nearby. If you want to go to the Dragon Realm, Popo can help. Huh? Lin Chen turned to see that the one who had spoken was none other than Mr. Popo. Kamehame and the others were also surprised by Popo's offer. Mr. Popo, can you really help Mr. Lin Chen go to the Dragon Realm? It should be possible, Mr. Popo nodded. Lin Chen approached him, looking skeptical. Mr. Popo, do you know how to get to the Dragon Realm? As long as you have a token of the Dragon God, you can go to the Dragon Realm. You're quite lucky, there happens to be a Dragon God token on Earth. Because of your help in saving the Earth, Mr. Popo can lend you this token for one-time use. Really? That's fantastic. Although Lin Chen was somewhat skeptical about how Mr. Popo could possess such an item, he expressed his gratitude. After a brief wait, everyone saw Mr. Popo approaching with a small, shimmering green dragon figurine. This is the key to the Dragon Realm. Mr. Popo Lin Chen suddenly thought of something, from another world, will that have any effect? No, the Dragon Realm is a unique place in the entire universe, just like the time nest you've visited before. Huh? You know about the time nest? Lin Chen was once again surprised. You have the scent of Tokitoki on you, Mr. Popo explained. Mr. Popo, who are you really? Lin Chen asked the question once more. However, Mr. Popo merely gave Lin Chen a glance and placed the green dragon figurine on the ground. All right, the portal to the Dragon Realm is about to open, you should prepare yourself. Mr. Popo stood in front of the figurine, and just like summoning a divine dragon, he uttered a series of words in a language that Lin Chen couldn't comprehend. Immediately, the sky above everyone's head split open, and amidst the roar of a dragon, a luminous green divine dragon emerged from a rift. Surprisingly, this divine dragon bore an uncanny resemblance to the one Mr. Popo had just taken out. Mr. Lin Chen, this is the envoy who will guide you to the Dragon Realm. Please, sit down on it, Mr. Popo said. Upon hearing this, Lin Chen flew up and approached the divine dragon. Upon a closer look, Lin Chen noticed that this divine dragon, although slender, bore a striking resemblance to the Namekians' divine dragon. As Lin Chen examined it up close, Mr. Popo called out from below, reminding him, Mr. Lin Chen, your divine dragon hasn't been completely consumed by evil yet. Once you arrive in the Dragon Realm, it will sense your presence. You can ask it everything. Lin Chen nodded and waved to Mr. Popo and others. He then took a seat on the back of the luminous green divine dragon. Without any command from Lin Chen, the luminous green divine dragon seemed to understand his thoughts. After a roar, its majestic body began to spiral upwards. The divine dragon, with Lin Chen, returned along the same path through the rift in the sky from which it had come from, and then promptly disappeared into it. After they disappeared into the passage, the sky returned to its pristine clarity, as if nothing had happened. Mr. Lin Chen is truly remarkable, capable of creating Dragon Balls and possessing power even greater than Majin Buu, Dend remarked, gazing at the now empty sky. Kamehame nodded in agreement but then shifted his gaze to Mr. Popo, who was standing nearby. Having inherited Great Demon King Piccolo's memories, he now knew some things he hadn't known before. Mr. Popo, can you tell me who you really are? Mr. Popo turned to look at Piccolo. Mr. Kamehame, my identity is something you're better off not inquiring about. Kamehame stared at Popo, realizing that Mr. Popo, who had spent hundreds of years with his predecessor, Old Kami, had such an unfamiliar side to him. Who was he really? How did he know so much? Why did he know how to go to the dragon realm? Suddenly, a flash of realization crossed Kamikalo's mind, and an incredulous expression appeared on his face. Could it be that you are? Meanwhile, Lin Chen and the divine dragon were traversing through the spatial rift. Having already grasped the elementary power of space, Lin Chen quickly realized that this rift was some kind of dimensional passage, much like the one he had traversed when visiting the time nest. Within this passage, there was no concept of time or space, everything was incredibly mysterious and magical. Lin Chen had no idea how long he had been traveling through the passage. Suddenly, he saw a light before him. A golden space lay ahead of them. In Lin Chen's view, there was an enormous floating continent. This continent appeared immensely vast, possibly covering the area of an entire galaxy, with no end in sight. Could this continent be Dragon Realm? The luminous green divine dragon, with Lin Chen, flew towards the continent and soon arrived above it. This allowed Lin Chen to observe the continent below from a closer perspective. The Dragon Ball world's higher dimensional worlds, it can be said that Lin Chen has already been to two of them, Time Nest and Sacred World of the Kai. But no matter which higher dimensional world it is, they all seem a bit desolate. However, in this Dragon Realm, it's quite the opposite, life here thrives more vigorously. Across the continent, majestic mountain ranges rose and fell, interweaving with each other. Within these mountains, enormous dragon-like creatures could occasionally be seen. Regardless of their size or whether they were on the ground or in the sky, as soon as they saw the luminous green divine dragon beneath Lin Chen's feet, they immediately knelt down and prostrated themselves, as if they were in the presence of a deity. But at that moment, a dragon's roar suddenly echoed from a distance. Shortly afterward, a golden streak of lightning flew toward Lin Chen and the divine dragon. In no time, the streak of lightning arrived before Lin Chen. "My lord! You have actually come to the Dragon Realm?" A deep voice rang out. The true form of this golden streak of lightning turned out to be the Saiyan divine dragon that Lin Chen had created. Moreover, the divine dragon was surprisingly in its humanoid combat form. Due to Mr. Popo's reminder, Lin Chen wasn't particularly surprised by the appearance of the divine dragon. "The reason I'm here, isn't it because of you?" Lin Chen replied as he dismounted from the luminous green divine dragon. The Saiyan divine dragon looked ashamed. It spoke a few words to the luminous green divine dragon in a language that Lin Chen could not understand, but which was very similar to the language that Mr. Popo had used to summon the divine dragon before. The luminous green divine dragon then turned around and departed. "My lord, please allow me to lead the way for you. I've come here to cleanse the evil energy that's been corrupting the Dragon Balls." "I already know, my lord. Please follow me." The Saiyan divine dragon promptly led Lin Chen towards the eastern part of the continent. As they flew, Lin Chen couldn't help but say, "You had to just revive a few humans, yet you ended up getting corrupted?" "My lord, it's not my fault. Because you're not a Namekian, I lack the power of miracle to dispel resentment." "Why can Namekians do it then?" "Because they are the chosen ones to whom Zalama-sama personally bestowed the power of miracles." "Your power, my lord, comes from Super Shenron." "Well then," Lin Chen shook his head, essentially concluding that his power to create Dragon Balls was nothing more than a counterfeit compared to the genuine good. It turned out that despite all the hype about Super Shenron, the abilities it granted were also just imitations. "So, what should I do now? I went through so much trouble to get those Dragon Balls, I can't just let them go to waste, right?" "My lord, before you arrived, I was in battle with the embodiment of evil. If you can assist me in defeating it, we can eliminate it once and for all." "Eliminate? What about you?" "As long as I absorb the opponent's power while eliminating them, I can retain my original divine powers." "Very well, then let's do it this way." At this point, Lin Chen finally understood what he needed to do. It turned out to be quite simple, just one word: kill. Now that there's a clear goal in place, the next steps will be much simpler. As they continued to fly forward not far ahead, Lin Chen noticed a change in the scenery below. Every so often, he could see palaces with diverse styles and distinct characteristics. In those palaces, Lin Chen could sense an aura similar to that of his Saiyan divine dragon. What are they? Lin Chen curiously asked. My lord, those are the palaces of divine dragons from various universes, and they serve as residence for us divine dragons. The divine dragons are not really created by mortals, rather they gain the ability to travel to the mortal world through the Dragon Balls and the creator of the Dragon Balls themselves. Meanwhile, these divine dragons who could enter the mortal world also had their own palaces in the dragon realm. Currently, below Lin Chen, there were countless palaces, probably numbering in the thousands. Combining the information he had obtained from Mr. Popo earlier, it seems the dragon realm is indeed the only one across the multiverse. The divine dragons inhabiting these palaces below naturally came from different universes and parallel worlds. With this in mind, Lin Chen suddenly asked, Divine Dragon, is the dragon realm the world where divine dragons reside? More or less, replied the divine dragon. However, this is only the current situation. In fact, in the distant past, Dragon Realm was also home to the dragon god Zalama-sama. Dragon god Zalama? Where are they now? Zalama-sama disappeared a long time ago, but they should still be alive. Otherwise, the Super Dragon Balls created by Zalama-sama would not still exist in the mortal world. Lin Chen was curious about the whereabouts of dragon god Zalama, but his thoughts quickly turned to the divine dragon palaces below. Because most of the palaces down there were in the style of planet Namek and Earth. Suddenly, a palace with a distinct Saiyan style appeared. Your Majesty, that's my palace. The embodiment of evil has already occupied half of it. Once the palace is completely taken over, it means it will take control of my power. The next time the divine dragon is summoned, it will be the one to go to the mortal world instead of me. But on the flip side, as long as the embodiment of evil is dealt with, would he not have to worry about any issues with the Dragon Balls anymore? Because the embodiment of evil thoughts have been eliminated. With this in mind, Lin Chen said, let's go. Take me to meet that embodiment of evil. I'm curious to see what the Shadow Dragon, created from my Dragon Balls, looks like. The two of them then immediately descended and flew toward the palace. Just as they approached the palace, Lin Chen's vision suddenly blurred, and the next moment, it was as if he had crossed through once again. What appeared before him was somewhat familiar scenery. Is this Planet Vegeta? No, my lord, this is the inside of the palace. Inside each palace is a projection of the mortal world where the divine dragon resides. I see. Although the divine dragon explained, Lin Chen still found it somewhat hard to believe because the planet before him was nearly identical to Planet Vegeta. Apart from the absence of the prosperity that could be seen on the real Planet Vegeta, everything from the plants to the architecture was almost exactly the same. However, shortly afterward, Lin Chen noticed something different. In the distant horizon of the planet, there was a world completely shrouded in black clouds. Beneath those black clouds lay a place that seemed to have been corroded by evil, filled with evil energy. Is that the territory of the Shadow Dragon? Yes. Upon hearing this, Lin Chen immediately increased his speed and charged toward that dark world. Shadow Dragon. Come out. Standing at the boundary between light and darkness, Lin Chen shouted. Suddenly, there was a response from the other side. In the darkness, large patches of black mist began to drift, as if a demon was about to appear. Then, a dragon's roar echoed, and a humanoid Saiyan divine dragon, almost identical to the Saiyan divine dragon but predominantly black and red in color, descended from the sky. Its crimson eyes locked onto Lin Chen, revealing a malicious intent. Lin Chen. It's you. Lin Chen smirked, you're in the presence of your master, why haven't you knelt down yet? The eyes of Black Smoke Shinran flared with anger as it retorted, ridiculous. Lin Chen, I never thought you would come to the Dragon Realm. I had planned to come to the mortal world to look for you next time, but now I can save the trouble. Look for me. To kneel in front of me. Hearing Lin Chen referring to kneeling again and again, the anger within the shadow dragon surged. Lin Chen. You measly mortal, you've obtained the ability to create Dragon Balls through the power of Super Shenron. Such an ability is not meant for someone like you. My existence is the Dragon God Sama's punishment for those who misuse the power of divine dragons. Evil energy manifested on the evil divine dragon's body, and what's even more exaggerated is that it seemed to have a power of law coursing through its body. This made the shadow dragon, originally extremely similar to the Saiyan divine dragon, appear even more eerie. My lord, be careful. The Saiyan divine dragon approached Lin Chen and said, when this guy was born, it took away almost all of my power of miracles. Its essence is the same as mine, both being divine dragons you created, possessing some of your power, and even mastering a good portion of your power of law. Oh. Lin Chen furrowed his brow. According to the Saiyan divine dragon's words, does that mean this shadow dragon essentially serves as a replica of himself? Sure enough, as shadow dragon began to unleash its aura, Lin Chen realized that its power level was nearly equivalent to his own in normal state, reaching almost 100 million. Its true power might be far greater. But could it really replicate his entire power? Impossible. Lin Chen couldn't believe that a mere divine dragon could possess such capabilities. Power of law is not some common technique that can be found everywhere, and easily mastered. You watch from the side. I want to see what makes this shadow dragon so special. Just as Lin Chen finished speaking, suddenly, the shadow dragon's aura suddenly rose dramatically. The black hair on its head, originally resembling Saiyan hair, began to lengthen. Power of destruction, power of creation, power of time, power of space, and now, power of miracles. 5 types of power of law began to manifest around it. Although the other 4 types of power of law weren't that powerful, they were real. As for power of miracles, it seemed even more profound than the reward Lin Chen had just received from the system. Ha ha ha. Lin Chen, let me, the divine dragon, personally kill you, my creator. If I die, aren't you afraid you'll die too? Of course not. After you die, I only lose the chance to go to the mortal world. But as long as I fully integrate the power of another individual with my current mastery of the power of laws, in due time, it's not impossible for me to become the new dragon god Zalama and rule the entire dragon realm. And my first step to becoming a god begins with killing you, my creator. The future dragon god doesn't need a creator hovering over its head. Shadow Dragon laughed maniacally, his laughter containing terrifying power. Lin Chen realized why his Saiyan divine dragon was at a disadvantage against the Shadow Dragon. It is truly a fearsome strength. Not only the Saiyan divine dragon, but even in Lin Chen's universe, very few could withstand such power. The laughter ceased. Shadow Dragon vanished, reappearing next to Lin Chen. Lin Chen, this is the power of a divine dragon. A fist imbued with the purple power of destruction slammed hard into Lin Chen's abdomen. With a thud, Lin Chen was thrown back, and the area struck by the power of destruction began to disintegrate. Black God. In that moment, Lin Chen rapidly entered the Black God state, and then employed the power of creation to neutralize the power of destruction that was beginning to spread all over his body. How does it feel to be destroyed? Thanks to you, I now possess even the power of a god of destruction. Ha ha ha. Seeing the power of his punch, Shadow Dragon burst out laughing. However, suddenly, spheres of purple-black energy manifested around him. After appearing without warning, they suddenly shot towards the Shadow Dragon. While the power of destruction didn't obliterate him, they did leave Shadow Dragon battered and bruised. You've merely copied my power. What gave you the audacity to challenge me? I too can wield the power of destruction. Lin Chen sneered. As he spoke, various auras started manifesting around him, and a mysterious divine halo began to rise behind him. Black Divine Realm, full force. Key sword. With a lift of his right hand, a technique that he learned from Vegeta appeared in his hand. A swirling dark energy, infused with 4 types of power of law, transformed into a black key sword in Lin Chen's hand. Upon its appearance, a smirk formed on Shadow Dragon's face. What you can do, I can too. With that, a similar black key sword appeared in Shadow Dragon's hand. But Lin Chen wasn't concerned. He grinned and said, "You can try." Upon finishing his words, Lin Chen vanished from sight. Shadow Dragon, not one to be outdone, vanished alongside him. Their silhouettes flickered in the sky, their key swords resonating with a buzzing sound. At this time, in terms of power level, Shadow Dragon was on par with Lin Chen in his Black God state. And in terms of the power of law, it was also almost identical, and the power of miracles it controlled appeared to be even more profound than Lin Chen's. Teleportation. Time freeze. Lin Chen seemed to be facing his reflection in a mirror. Yet, over time, a smirk formed on Lin Chen's face. Suddenly, Shadow Dragon's key sword was severed. Lin Chen's key sword had sliced through, cleanly cutting off Shadow Dragon's hand. Wah! After a painful scream, Shadow Dragon stared at Lin Chen in disbelief. How did that happen? This is impossible. We're equally powerful. Why was my key sword cut? Same level of power? Don't think I haven't noticed. Lin Chen smirked, your so-called equal power is merely a wishful thought. In reality, you've just replicated all the power of laws using the power of miracles, haven't you? The power of miracles is indeed formidable, capable of replicating even the laws, but even if you can replicate the power of laws, you can't wield it as seamlessly as I can, let alone master the fusion of power of laws. Shadow Dragon stared wide-eyed, power of laws. Fusion. Lin Chen flicked the key sword in his hand. As he did so, the once murky black aura on the blade was cast aside, revealing a grayish aura. Though it looked a bit weaker than the black key sword, the power contained within Lin Chen's key sword at this moment was such that merely a glance made Shadow Dragon feel a sting in its eyes. My key sword is a pure force, fused with 4 kinds of power of law. How could your haphazard key sword possibly rival mine? Pure force. I've never heard of it. Power, come forth. With a thunderous boom, Shadow Dragon's power surged even higher. I possess Divine Dragon's power of miracles. As long as I will it, I can continuously grow stronger. You can't possibly win against me. In this moment, the flames around Shadow Dragon almost set the space aflame, and arcs of electricity wildly danced around it, crackling in the air. Shadow Dragon dispelled its key sword and began to form a silver-hued energy blast in its hands. With a blinding brilliance, it fired straight at Lin Chen. Humph! Don't you get it? Lin Chen reached out his hand, not to release an energy blast, but to swing his gray key sword. With a snapping sound, space seemed to be torn asunder. The rift first devoured Shadow Dragon's attack, and then it spread towards the dragon, as if intending to swallow it whole. Seeing its attack get annihilated like an insignificant bug, Shadow Dragon's eyes nearly bulged out. That attack wasn't just a simple blast wave, it contained the power of miracles, power of destruction, and power of creation that Shadow Dragon infused within it. How could an attack formed using so many powers be neutralized simply like that? While Shadow Dragon was still in shock, the space rift created by Lin Chen's key sword had already appeared close to it. Panicking, it quickly tried to dodge it, but it didn't expect that the next place it landed, another rift appeared and swallowed half of its body. Then it disappeared. Without a trace of blood, Shadow Dragon's body was sliced in half. Only now did Shadow Dragon realize just how far behind it was compared to Lin Chen in using the power of laws. This disparity wasn't just in power but in the sheer usage of the power of laws. While Lin Chen could fuse and use 4 kinds of power of laws, Shadow Dragon could only command them separately. Even though the power of miracles allowed Shadow Dragon to almost perfectly replicate Lin Chen's power, speed, and techniques, it couldn't replicate the understanding of the power of laws. Because of this, Shadow Dragon's divine realm is only at intermediate first level. This difference in realm led to Shadow Dragon's complete defeat. At this point in the battle, with the outcome already decided, Shadow Dragon, realizing its disadvantage, began to contemplate escape. However, it was only then that Shadow Dragon noticed that time around it had completely frozen. Unbeknownst to it, Lin Chen had trapped Shadow Dragon in a cage of time. Lin Chen. I won't die. Desperate, Shadow Dragon opened its mouth wide, trying to break free with its power. But at this moment, an endless brilliance appeared in Lin Chen's hand. Shadow Dragon, this is a technique I created after fusing the 4 kinds of power of law. I present it to you. It's called the Light of Annihilation. Boom! The light source formed by the fusion of the 4 kinds of power of laws burst forth from Lin Chen's hand. The entire Divine Dragon's palace was blanketed by a brilliant white glow. Boom! Time seemed to stand still, and it was impossible to know how much time had passed. When the blinding white light that had enveloped everything dissipated, the once seemingly invincible Shadow Dragon was reduced to just its head floating in midair. The power of miracle on its body had saved Shadow Dragon's life. But all of this had actually been within Lin Chen's calculations. Lin Chen wasted no time and gestured to the Saiyan Divine Dragon behind him, and the latter swiftly arrived by the remains of Shadow Dragon. It grabbed Shadow Dragon's head and devoured it. Moments later, the Saiyan Divine Dragon began to emit a divine radiance. The power of miracles stolen by Shadow Dragon had finally returned to it. The dark aura that had once shrouded the world gradually dissipated at this moment. The Shadow Dragon, which could have potentially led to a big trouble, was finally dealt with by Lin Chen before it could appear in the mortal world. It's time to go back, Lin Chen muttered. After this battle, would the great figures of the Dragon Ball world also appear? Beerus, Kampa, and others such as Hit, whom he had encountered before, were all about to make their appearance. With his current strength, could he continue to stand proudly before them? Lin Chen felt a strong desire to test himself. After confirming that his Saiyan Divine Dragon had regained its original power and there was no longer a risk of Shadow Dragon's birth, Lin Chen decided to return to Kamehame-ha's world. However, at this moment, the Saiyan Divine Dragon spoke, "My lord, allow me to escort you back to the mortal world. I can take you directly to your original world. Is there no need to return to the previous world first?" Lin Chen was surprised. Of course. You can go to any world from Dragon Realm. Very well. As Lin Chen nodded in agreement, the Saiyan Divine Dragon transformed into a golden light and took on the form of a 5-clawed golden dragon. Just as before, Lin Chen sat atop the dragon's head, and with the Saiyan Divine Dragon carrying him, they passed through the spatial crack and headed to the mortal world. Time flew by, and it had been a month since Lin Chen had dealt with Shadow Dragon. After spending a wonderful time with his family for 1 month, Lin Chen bid farewell to them and came alone to a primitive planet hundreds of light-years away from Planet Vegeta. The entire planet was barren, yet at its center stood an enormous towering tree that reached high into the sky. This was the place where Broly had once trained, and the towering tree was the Tree of Might. Near the tree's roots were the houses where Broly and Lin Chen had lived. The planet has a stable geologic structure, and there were no signs of life, making it ideal for training. Lin Chen's purpose for coming here was to hone his strength and prepare for the future events. The battle against Shadow Dragon had served as a warning. Although it had been dealt with relatively easily, it gave him a wake-up call. In terms of pure power, Shadow Dragon could already rival Lin Chen, and its defeat was solely due to its lack of mastery over the divine realm. In the future, most of the enemies Lin Chen would face would be gods who had already mastered the power of law or formidable opponents on par with divine realm experts. Especially, his biggest threat at the moment was the god of destruction Beerus, who is about to awaken. For Lin Chen, who was still only somewhat proficient in the power of law, he didn't have complete confidence in defeating Beerus. To prepare for the future, his immediate priority was to elevate his strength as quickly as possible, especially by fusing and mastering the 5 kinds of power of laws he currently possessed. Arriving beneath the Tree of Might, Lin Chen entered the house where he and Broly had rested in the past. A thick layer of dust had already covered both the inside and outside of the house. Lin Chen took out a hoi poi capsule and directly summoned 3 metal Cybermen to take care of the cleaning. Meanwhile, Lin Chen himself flew towards the canopy of the Tree of Might. Sitting on a branch, Lin Chen looked down at the desolate land beneath him, assessing his current strength. Host, Lin Chen. Power level, 95.8 million. Power of laws, elementary power of time, elementary power of destruction, elementary power of creation, elementary power of miracles, elementary power of space. Divine realm, advanced first level. His current power level was about to break through 100 million. If you added the multiplier from his black god form, his power level would be close to 50 billion, which was indeed astonishing. However, Lin Chen knew that this power level was still far from enough. In other universes, there were plenty of powerful individuals with power levels exceeding 10 billion. Looking at the divine realm, despite having mastered 5 kinds of power of law, there was no breakthrough in sight. To elevate his divine realm further, relying solely on the accumulation of power of laws was no longer sufficient. He needed to find a way to improve his mastery of power of laws so that he can keep enhancing his realm. This could either be achieved through completing missions or his own comprehension. However, system-assigned missions were not always available, so Lin Chen planned to rely on his own efforts for comprehending them. Let's start with the power of creation. Among the 5 kinds of power of laws, power of creation, power of miracles, and power of space were the least familiar to him since he acquired them just recently. With this in mind, Lin Chen's hair began to lengthen, and a divine halo appeared behind him. Lin Chen closed his eyes and began to sense the power of creation within his body. Power of creation is the exclusive power of the Supreme Kai in the Dragon Ball universe, and is the exact opposite of power of destruction. However, when Majin Buu absorbed the Grand Supreme Kai and South Supreme Kai back then, it allowed him to wield power of creation to some extent. But compared to a true Supreme Kai, Buu's use of power of creation was only superficial. From the system, Lin Chen received the rudimentary application of power of creation. He studied this knowledge and skill in his mind, then, he opened his eyes and pointed at a leaf of the nearby Tree of Might. Transform into candy. Surprisingly, the leaf actually turned into a colorful candy, hanging on the branch. Revert to the original form. Lin Chen used it again, and the candy turned back into a leaf. Buu's shape-shifting magic was precisely the rudimentary application of power of creation. However, apart from this, the true purpose of power of creation was to create planets and propagate life. Lin Chen maximized the power of creation within him and directed it towards the ground. In the next moment, a miraculous scene unfolded. On the once desolate planet, greenery gradually began to appear. It was as if the land was being born anew, and all living things were coming back to life. The once barren planet, now visibly transforming, became vibrant with lush green grass. Before long, Lin Chen even saw some strange animals appearing on this land. And all of this happened in the blink of an eye. Power of creation was indeed incredibly powerful. However, Lin Chen also noticed that the yellowish land on the horizon had not completely disappeared. As it turns out, the power of creation had only affected an area of tens of thousands of kilometers around the Tree of Might. His power was not yet strong enough to cover the entire planet with power of creation. Let's keep working hard, Lin Chen whispered to himself. Time flies, and years pass by quickly. It has been nearly 3 years since the end of the Majin Buu incident. Lin Chen has been training on the desolate planet for 2 years. During these 2 years, Lin Chen didn't just stay here all the time. Whenever he made some progress, he would return to Earth or Planet Vegeta for a month of rest. The proper balance between hard work and relaxation led to remarkable progress in Lin Chen's training. First, the power of creation, and then the power of space. He has become well versed in both kinds of the power of laws. However, he seems to be progressing slowly in the power of miracles. Power of miracles sounds a bit mysterious. Even though Lin Chen had long acquired the usage method of the elementary power of miracles from the system, he still wasn't able to fully comprehend what this power of law truly was. Speaking of it, the source of power of miracles seems to be a form of wishcraft. No matter what the wish is, no matter what the requirement is. As long as the user wishes it, it can be fulfilled. Turning wishes into reality, that's the essence of the power of miracles. However, the specific way to achieve it is not as simple as merely thinking about it. According to the information Lin Chen has now, using power of miracles involves a massive amount of belief. The stronger and more unwavering the belief, the more powerful the power of miracles becomes. I think, therefore I am, that's the essence of power of miracles. It may seem simple, but it's not that easy to truly achieve. Moreover, each use of power of miracles requires an enormous mental energy expenditure. Understanding this, Lin Chen gradually understood why Shadow Dragon, who possessed power of miracles, rarely used it in battle. At first, he thought the other party wasn't proficient in using the power of miracles, but now he understands that the opponent simply couldn't afford it. Using it once could very well leave Shadow Dragon unable to fight. Even Lin Chen, during training, would experience 3 days of exhaustion after using power of miracles once. Fortunately, he had the rare Tree of Might by his side. By relying on the power of creation, Lin Chen allowed the Tree of Might to once again absorb the planet's vitality and began to bear fruit. With the Tree of Might's fruit, Lin Chen was able to avoid the situation where 1 hour of training would require 3 days of rest. Just as Lin Chen began his long training, on Universe 7's God of Destruction's planet, an unexpected event suddenly occurred. One day, a wild and violent power fluctuation, after crossing countless light years, finally broke through the layers of dimensions and reached the God of Destruction in this higher dimension. When this fluctuation reached here, Whis, who was instructing Broly, suddenly stopped and said in surprise, "Oh my, this fluctuation, could it be from Lin Chen? Brother Lynx?" Broly also stopped and looked shocked. Such powerful strength. But it's strange, it doesn't seem like the aura of the Saiyan god. Lin Chen hasn't transformed into that black god state he mentioned. This is another conventional transformation of you Saiyans. Whis observed using his scepter and understood everything. The power fluctuation that reached God of Destruction's planet was from 3 years ago when Lin Chen, in his battle against Android 21 on Earth, transformed into Super Saiyan 4, and after several years, the fluctuation finally arrived at God of Destruction's planet. But Broly, upon hearing this, became even more perplexed. A conventional Saiyan transformation? What kind of transformation could grant such immense power? Before he could understand it, Whis suddenly exclaimed in alarm, "Oh no! This fluctuation Beerus-sama is waking up." Indeed, just at that moment, the rumbling sound that had persisted on God of Destruction's planet for over 30 years suddenly came to a halt. Broly, who already knew what this sound was, immediately became a bit nervous because if Beerus had truly awakened, this might be his first encounter with Beerus after arriving on the God of Destruction's planet. "Broly, wait here for a moment. I'll go arrange for Beerus-sama to wake up." "Yes." Immediately, Whis walked towards a massive temple situated on the giant branches of an ancient tree behind him. After a moment, Whis arrived inside the temple. "Beerus-sama, are you awake?" Whis called out gently. Upon hearing the commotion, there were rustling sounds within the temple. Then, a groggy voice responded, "Whis. I'm awake." Lying on a floating bed, God of Destruction Beerus had two sharp, rabbit-like ears sticking up, and his head resembled a combination of a jackal and a cat. He rubbed his eyes and yawned. "Beerus-sama, you woke up earlier than I anticipated." "Oh. How long have I been asleep?" Beerus asked lazily, rubbing the corners of his eyes. "It's been 38 years since you fell asleep." "Only 38 years?" "Right, I was actually awakened by a noise. In my dream, I felt a very powerful fluctuation." "Whis, is there anything you want to report?" "Indeed, Beerus-sama, the fluctuation you felt is from the mortal world. It was an aura that erupted out during a powerful warrior's battle," Whis calmly explained. Upon hearing this, Beerus, who had been drowsy, suddenly became wide awake, and his eyes became sharp. "What? A powerful warrior? How is that possible? When did the mortal world have such a powerful warrior?" "It's true, Beerus-sama. By the way, while you were sleeping, I found a substitute for you among the God of Destruction candidates." "What? Whis. You did something like that without my permission?" Power of Destruction began to rampage, and suddenly, the entire God of Destruction's planet seemed to be hit by a violent tornado, with flying sand and falling rocks, and trees collapsing. Even the stars in the sky above the God of Destruction's planet exploded and vanished under the surging power of destruction. Outside the temple, Broly felt the terrifying presence of a god for the first time. This aura was even more powerful than Lin Chen's, who he once thought was the strongest. Involuntarily, Broly's legendary Super Saiyan bloodline reacted. Legendary Super Saiyan's tendency to grow stronger in the face of a challenge caused Broly to transform into his full-power legendary Super Saiyan state. Sensing Broly's explosive aura, Beerus narrowed his eyes. "Whis, is that the God of Destruction candidate you found?" Sensing Beerus' intentions, Whis hurriedly tried to intervene. "Oh my, Beerus-sama, please don't." Before Whis could finish speaking, Beerus had already rushed outside impatiently. Whis shook his head and mumbled to himself, "Oh dear, Broly, consider this your midterm exam before becoming a God of Destruction." Soon, the sounds of battle rang out outside. Whis, in no hurry, calmly strolled outside. There, he witnessed Broly getting brutally beaten up by Beerus one-sidedly. In these years on God of Destruction's planet, it has been a completely new way of life for Broly. Whis training for him was not solely focused on energy but rather on refining his heart. As a legendary Super Saiyan, Broly possesses a powerful physique, but his mind is incredibly fragile. Although he had previously trained hard to control his violent emotions, it was evident that this kind of training was not enough. Especially if he wants to become a God of Destruction in the future, he must have a stronger mental fortitude. But that doesn't mean Broly's power level hasn't improved over the years. On the contrary, if we solely consider power level, Broly's legendary Super Saiyan bloodline is actually more formidable than even Lin Chen. Therefore, even when facing Beerus, Broly undoubtedly has the power to put up a fight. However, because he knows that the person in front of him may be his predecessor God of Destruction, Broly initially just endured Beerus' attacks. It wasn't until Whis stepped out of the temple and witnessed the scene before him. "Broly, Beerus-sama wants to test your strength, so don't underestimate him." "Underestimate?" Beerus was momentarily stunned, not quite grasping it. How on earth could someone dare to hold back against a God of Destruction? But before he could fully comprehend, Broly's aura suddenly shifted. The one who had been taking hits without retaliating exploded with a burst of berserk power. Within Broly's aura, there was even a hint of the power of destruction. "Whis. You actually taught him the power of destruction? He is a God of Destruction candidate, so there's no problem. Whis, are you trying to get me killed?" Beerus was fuming. But it was understandable, anyone would lose their temper if they woke up to find someone trying to usurp their position. Not to mention, Beerus has always had a bad temper. However, despite being angry, once Broly unleashed the power of destruction, Beerus found himself somewhat caught off guard. To the point where Beerus had to use both hands to fight back. When Beerus got serious, it spelled trouble for the God of Destruction's planet. Despite it being Beerus' territory, once he unleashed his full power, destroying it would be a matter of minutes. Broly, on the other hand, is renowned as the legendary Super Saiyan known for his ferocious fighting style. Once these two went all out, more than half of the God of Destruction's planet would be obliterated in an instant. And Broly's fighting style, where he'd rather take 10 punches to return a single slap, further fueled Beerus' anger. As the God of Destruction, when was the last time someone had dared to defy him like this? With his anger rising, Beerus couldn't help but want to use his own God of Destruction's power. A purplish-black energy sphere quickly formed at his fingertips. But just then, Whis suddenly inserted himself between the two. "That's enough for now, Beerus-sama." An invisible force separated Beerus and Broly. Seeing Whis intervene, Beerus reluctantly backed down. Broly quickly regained his composure as well. Years of training hadn't been in vain, he could now easily control his anger. However, when Broly reverted from his legendary Super Saiyan form to a Saiyan with black hair, Beerus' eyes widened in shock. "Whis. Is this guy a Saiyan?" "Yeah, didn't I tell you?" Beerus looked Broly up and down, who was no longer the berserk warrior from moments ago. He furrowed his brow and said, "A Saiyan. I distinctly remember ordering Frieza to destroy Planet Vegeta. Did he not follow my order? If it's Frieza, he did attack Planet Vegeta at that time, but we Saiyans nearly killed him. And more than a decade ago, he was completely defeated and killed by our Saiyan King." "What? Saiyan King?" Beerus found it hard to believe. The King Vegeta he had considered insignificant had managed to kill Frieza. You see, in the past, Beerus had delegated many tasks to Frieza. Beerus was well aware of Frieza's strength, and in the entire universe, there were only a few who could defeat him. And he had died over a decade ago. And at the hands of a trash like King Vegeta? "Whis, tell me, is this guy messing with me?" "You're mistaken, Beerus-sama. Everything he said is true." Whis tapped his scepter and a holographic image appeared on it, showing the moment Lin Chen had killed Frieza in the space. Seeing the person who killed Frieza also emitting a greenish aura, Beerus abruptly turned his head to look at Broly. "Is that person a Saiyan too?" "He is the Saiyan King, His Majesty Lynx." "What?" Beerus was baffled. "What did you say?" "He's the Saiyan King. Wasn't Vegeta 3 the Saiyan King? His Majesty Lynx is the king who succeeded Vegeta 3. Vegeta 3 later became his minister." Beerus felt a headache coming on. How had the entire Universe 7 changed while he was sleeping? Everything felt unfamiliar and unrecognizable. Gulugulu. Ah. Beerus downed a glass of wine that Whis had supposedly brought from a planet called Earth, then muttered, "Is this guy named Lynx Lin Chen really that powerful? He has mastered 4 kinds of power of laws on his own." Beerus temporarily put up with Broly, the suddenly emerging junior, and instead focused his attention on the Saiyan King named Lin Chen. The more he inquired, the more frightened he became. Even though Whis had been on the God of Destruction's planet over this past decade, he was well informed about Earth's affairs, including Lin Chen mastering 4 kinds of power of laws. It's not just the power of laws. The energy fluctuations that woke you up also originated from Lin Chen. I've only been asleep for less than 40 years, and this guy suddenly appears out of nowhere. Beerus couldn't help but shout. But then he suddenly remembered something. Wait, could he be the person I dreamt about? Dream? Whis was curious. Yeah, this time when I was sleeping, I had a dream about an archrival of mine. He seemed to be called something like Saiyan Super Saiyan God. Super Saiyan King. Beerus scratched his head and then slammed the table, shouting, "Oracle fish. Not long after Beerus spoke, a small glass of water floated over, containing a peculiar blue creature. Broly knew this creature as the oracle fish, Beerus' pet, capable of making uncannily accurate prophecies with a 100% success rate. "What's up, Beerus-sama? I wanted to ask you, what was the name of the archrival I dreamt about?" The oracle fish's small eyes blinked as it pondered. "Super Saiyan God." "Ah. This is it." Beerus nodded, picking his ear. "Super Saiyan God." Broly was somewhat surprised. "Oracle fish, are you sure?" "Absolutely." Whis noticed the expression on Broly's face. "What's going on, Broly?" "Teacher, there is a Super Saiyan God on Planet Vegeta, but their power probably doesn't even come close to being an archrival for Beerus-sama." Broly was referring to Vegeta's brother Tarbell and others. Over the past decade, although new Super Saiyan gods with a heart of justice have continued to emerge, and some of them have talents far surpassing even Tarbell and his group. However, so far, the strongest Super Saiyan god has only achieved a power level of around 600 million after transforming, far below even Goku and others, and is certainly not a match for Beerus. Upon hearing Broly's explanation, Beerus nonchalantly adjusted his earring and said, "Oracle Fish's prophecy can't be wrong. If it says my archrival is a Super Saiyan god, then it must be a Super Saiyan god. Whis, take me to Planet Vegeta. I want to see what these Super Saiyan gods are like." "Of course, Beerus-sama," Whis replied with a smile. In reality, he was also thinking that this trip to the mortal world would be an opportunity to replenish his food supply. Although he had taken nearly dozens of hoi poi capsules filled with food the last time he left Earth, it had been over a decade, and those supplies had nearly run out. This trip to Earth was a good chance to restock. "Broly, do you want to come along too? It's been over a decade since you've been back, right?" Whis asked. "Yes, teacher," Broly nodded humbly and stood beside Whis, placing his hand on his shoulder like Beerus. The three of them then transformed into a rapid streak of light and flew toward the mortal world. Before long, in the starry sky of the mortal world, a beam of light passed through the space, and Whis, accompanied by two others, arrived on Planet Vegeta. Beerus couldn't believe his eyes as he looked around. "Hey, Whis, didn't you say you were taking me to Planet Vegeta? Where is this?" "It is Planet Vegeta, Beerus-sama, things have changed here." "Changed? It's more than just a change." Beerus gestured towards the distant skyscrapers, the flying vehicles passing in the sky, and all kinds of aliens who were not Saiyans clearly present on the streets. The Planet Vegeta he remembered had never looked like this. "Beerus-sama, this is indeed Planet Vegeta. Since Brother Lynx became the Saiyan King, many changes have taken place. It's now the headquarters of the Galactic Federation, so it's quite different from your previous impression," Broly explained. "Galactic Federation?" Beerus heard yet another unfamiliar name. "That's a massive alliance that now controls 3/4 of Universe 7's territory," Whis chuckled. "Beerus-sama, you should remember this, otherwise, your destruction of a planet might lead to conflicts with this organization." Beerus didn't seem to care much. It was just an organization formed by a few civilizations, nothing to worry about. However, he couldn't shake the feeling that something absurd had happened during his brief 40-year slumber. The changes in the universe were too big. Could it all be because of that person Lin Chen? Right at this moment, due to an eyewitness report of Broly and their sudden appearance, the Planet Vegeta security team rushed to the scene. However, before they could get close, someone recognized Whis. Whis had visited Planet Vegeta before, and his appearance had been officially recorded, classified as a high-level important guest. As soon as he was spotted, it had to be reported to the Saiyan Royal Palace. So even though they had noticed Beerus and the others, nobody approached them at first. It wasn't until a moment later that King Vegeta and Bardock, among others, rushed over with a large group of people. Seeing that it was indeed Whis in person, everyone was about to welcome him when suddenly, King Vegeta noticed a small purple figure next to Whis, and his entire body froze. Beerus-sama. Seeing the god of destruction Beerus once again, King Vegeta's face alternated between red and white. He recalled the experience of angering Beerus in the past and being stomped under his foot. "Oh, King Vegeta, it's been a while. You've changed quite a bit," Beerus sneered, his eyes filled with killing intent. This is all thanks to King Lynx." King Vegeta felt a chill and quickly lowered his head. Paragus, who had come along with King Vegeta, looked at his son with joy and then asked, "Broly, who is this?" "Father and everyone else, this is Beerus-sama, the god of destruction of our universe, and the one next to him is Mr. Whis. You should be familiar with him." "Aha." Bardock noticed that King Vegeta was frozen in place, unable to move, so he approached and greeted, "Mr. Whis, it's been a long time. Is there something you all have come for this time?" "Oh, Beerus-sama wants to inquire about Super Saiyan God," Whis smiled. "Super Saiyan God?" Bardock was momentarily puzzled, then looked towards Broly for more information. However, after hearing their purpose for coming, Bardock was even more perplexed. Beerus' archrival was Super Saiyan God. That didn't seem likely, did it? "Beerus-sama, we do have Super Saiyan God here, but they probably can't even beat Broly. Are you sure they are the ones you're looking for? Maybe you should bring them here and let me have a look." Beerus picked his ear. So, Bardock immediately had all the Super Saiyan gods on the planet gather. Over the years, with the birth of the younger generation, there were more and more Super Saiyan gods on the planet. There were now over 50 of them. These 50-plus individuals formed the Super Saiyan God Squad on Planet Vegeta, responsible for maintaining order and going on distant expeditions. Soon, they arrived at the scene. Under Bardock's direction, one by one, they transformed into their Super Saiyan God form. "Are these Super Saiyan God?" Beerus inspected each of them and then shook his head. "Something doesn't seem right, Whis. They don't look like the ones I saw in my dreams. Moreover, with their power, they can't even match Broly, can they? This doesn't seem right. Hey, are you Saiyans trying to fool me by bringing just anyone here?" A hand with black nails rose and a purple-black energy sphere immediately appeared at the tip of Beerus' finger. In an instant, everyone present felt the terrifying energy within the energy sphere. And King Vegeta, who had witnessed Beerus' power of destruction before, was so nervous that his legs trembled as he hastily explained. "Beerus-sama. These people are truly the Super Saiyan gods. Super Saiyan God is formed by gathering 6 Saiyans with righteous hearts and infusing their righteous energy into one person. You know that Saiyans are originally a warrior race, killing is something we excel at, but finding someone among us with a righteous heart is not easy. So in the end, those confirmed to have a righteous heart are these young ones, most of whom were once considered low-class warriors and even trash." "Oh." Seeing King Vegeta's anxious explanation, Beerus glanced at Whis beside him. "He's not wrong, Beerus-sama. In the past, Saiyans couldn't be considered a righteous race, and Saiyans and justice didn't go together. Even Broly doesn't possess a righteous heart. Is that so? But what about Oracle Fish's prophecy? There must be other powerful Saiyans with a heart of justice, right?" Beerus dissipated the power of destruction at his fingertips and suddenly thought of something, clapping his hands. "Right, what about that new Saiyan king of yours? His name is Lin Chen." "Yes, Beerus-sama. His Majesty's Earth name is indeed Lin Chen," King Vegeta nodded. "Oh, what about Lin Chen? He changed you Saiyans so much, he should have a righteous heart, right?" This time, Bardock stepped forward. "Beerus-sama, come to think of it, His Majesty Lynx does seem to possess the Super Saiyan God transformation." "Really?" Beerus' eyes lit up, and he became excited. "Then where is he? Hurry and bring him out. I want to challenge him." "Well." Bardock hesitated and said, "Beerus-sama, His Majesty has been frequently going outside training for these past years, and we're not sure of his current whereabouts. Not sure. Beerus' gaze sharpened, and the dark purple power of destruction emerged at his fingertips once again. Bardock hurriedly continued, "Wait, Beerus-sama, even though His Majesty is not here, there are other formidable Saiyans here. They might prove to be worthy opponents for you." Other powerful Saiyans? Beerus was somewhat skeptical. Despite the changes Saiyans had undergone in the past few decades, he still looks down on their overall strength. To suddenly have a genius appear among all the Saiyans was possible, but to believe that many geniuses who could become his powerful rival had emerged in these 40 years, Beerus was the first to doubt. "It's true, Your Majesty. Right behind you, Broly is a genius no weaker than you." Bardock pointed at Broly. Beerus turned to look at Broly for a moment. He was indeed a genius, but as Whis had already mentioned, Broly was inherently a demon, lacking any righteous heart, and couldn't become a Super Saiyan god. Upon hearing this, Bardock hesitated for a moment. "If Broly can't do it, then perhaps Kakarot and Vegeta might meet your requirements, Beerus-sama." "Kakarot? Vegeta?" Beerus turned to King Vegeta. "Hey, King Vegeta, is one of them your child?" Yes, Beerus-sama. Kakarot and Vegeta are, indeed, the two most outstanding geniuses among the Saiyans, just below His Majesty and Broly. "Where are they?" Beerus inquired. "They should be on Earth. Both of them have family on Earth, so they have been living there," Bardock explained. "Earth? I seem to have heard of it," Beerus mused. Whis interjected, "Beerus-sama, the wine you had earlier is from Earth." "Oh, that place." Beerus' eyes lit up. "The one with lots of delicious food, bento, ramen, and ice cream?" "Yes." "Wow. Whis, I'm hungry. Take us there quickly." Beerus exclaimed, swallowing hard, and he urged Whis, leaving Bardock and the others behind. "Let's go. If I can't find my archrival this time, they'll destroy both Planet Vegeta and Earth." Whis smiled faintly and left Planet Vegeta with Beerus and Broly. Witnessing this scene, the others remained stunned for a while. Then, Bardock suddenly clapped his hands to rouse the others. "King Vegeta, hurry and inform Vegeta and Kakarot about Beerus-sama. Also, find out where His Majesty is. This situation might require His Majesty's intervention." Meanwhile, on Earth, at Bulma's house. Today wasn't any special occasion, but most of the Earth's Z fighters, along with Lin Chen's family, were gathered at Bulma's house for a meal. Tights, Lazuli, Android 18, Chi-Chi, and others were chatting and laughing with Bulma, while Goku, Krillin and others were eating and chatting nearby. Some of these people hadn't seen each other in a while. "Hey, son Goku, you seem to have become stronger than before?" Piccolo inquired. "I can't help it. Vegeta and I felt like we hit a ceiling these past years. Satan told us about that transformation of brother Lin Chen's, but we couldn't figure it out, so we've just been focusing on basic training," Goku explained, feeling helpless. Vegeta, standing nearby, coldly snorted. "Kakarot, don't compare me to you. I will definitely break through before you do." Goku and Vegeta were talking about the transformation Lin Chen had used against Android 21 Super Saiyan 4. Although Goku and Vegeta hadn't seen it firsthand, Goku became familiar with Satan after Gohan and Videl, Satan's daughter, got married. One day, they had talked about that battle, which revealed the existence of Super Saiyan 4 beyond Super Saiyan 3 to Goku. Goku and Vegeta realized that they might not be able to comprehend the power of law, so they decided to learn from Lin Chen's transformation. However, neither Goku or Vegeta, who heard about it later, could figure out how to achieve the Super Saiyan 4 transformation. Satan was too far away at that time to see clearly. While Goku and Vegeta were discussing Super Saiyan 4, on the other side, the younger generation, including Gohan, Lin Luo, and Taro, were chatting among themselves. Time had flown by, and Lin Chen's two children had also grown up, though their changes were less pronounced than Gohan's. After not seeing him for several years, the former Gohan now was wearing glasses and had become a scholar. Gohan, even though you're married now, do you really need to change this much? Taro remarked, looking at Gohan, almost unable to recognize him. Gohan chuckled and blinked his eyes, saying, "These glasses don't have a prescription. I'm currently a teaching assistant at university, and Videl thinks I look more like a teacher with glasses. What about you, Lin Luo, Taro? Do you have any plans for studying?" "Of course not," Taro replied first. "Big brother Gohan, I want to become the Saiyan king in the future." Lin Luo added, "I want to travel the world and explore unknown planets." "Wow, your ambitions are much greater than mine." Gohan exclaimed, sincerely impressed but not envious because everyone had their own path. Just like himself, although Goku always felt that he had a lot of potential. However, he didn't enjoy fighting and wanted to pursue academic development, and Goku supported him wholeheartedly. "By the way, where's Uncle Lin Chen? It's been a while since I last saw him. Did he go on another journey?" Lin Chen often went on long journeys, sometimes not returning for months or even years. Gohan was aware of this but still curious about Lin Chen's current whereabouts. Lin Luo answered, "Dad went off to train. He came back once last year, and I heard he's working on training a new power of law. Uncle Lin Chen is really amazing. My dad often admires his talents. He says that in this world, only Uncle Broly can compare to him. As for Uncle Broly, it's been over a decade since he last appeared, right? I wonder where he went." Taro began but suddenly froze, his gaze fixed in one direction. Lin Luo, curious about her brother's reaction, turned to look and was also stunned. "What's going on with you two?" Gohan, puzzled by their petrified expressions, reached out and shook them, but they remained unresponsive. So he turned his head as well and couldn't help but exclaim, "You Uncle Broly?" In Bulma's garden, Gohan saw Broly, who he hadn't seen in a long time. "Broly?" Hearing that, Goku and the others turned their heads in surprise, then stood up in amazement. Broly, who they hadn't been seen in over a decade, had actually returned. For a moment, many people stood up and rushed outside to greet him. Broly, Kakarot, Vegeta, Piccolo, everyone. They greeted each other with smiles after not seeing each other for more than a decade. However, at that moment, Vegeta among the crowd froze, and cold sweat started pouring down his face. "Go God of Destruction. Beerus?" While everyone's attention was on the tall Broly, Vegeta noticed the two figures behind him, especially the purple figure that sent shivers down his spine. He could never forget that purple silhouette, nor could he forget the other's domineering, disdainful attitude. Decades ago, when the Saiyan throne on Planet Vegeta was still occupied by King Vegeta and Vegeta himself was a proud Saiyan prince. Vegeta saw this person arrive at the Saiyan palace, forcing his father, King Vegeta, to lower his proud head and nearly stop breathing out of fear. Although a series of events afterward made Vegeta almost forget this moment, the long-buried memories resurfaced upon seeing the God of Destruction Beerus once again. "Oh, you must be Vegeta. You look just like your father." Beerus suddenly appeared before Vegeta, and he spoke with a cold, disdainful tone. "Hey, Broly, who are these two?" Goku asked, puzzled. "Are they your lackeys?" "Kakarot, you fool. What lackeys? This is the great God of Destruction Beerus-sama. And Beerus-sama's attendant, Mr. Whis." Vegeta was thoroughly frightened. He couldn't fathom why the God of Destruction Beerus had suddenly appeared on Earth. "Huh? Vegeta, why are you sweating so much?" Goku reached out to check if Vegeta was sick, but he slapped Goku's hand away. "Kakarot, if you want to die, go on your own. Don't drag me into this." Vegeta's unusual reaction piqued the curiosity of the others, who wondered what was going on with him. "Broly, what's wrong with Vegeta? Who are these two?" Piccolo asked. Broly stepped aside and introduced, everyone, this is the god of destruction of Universe 7, Beerus-sama, and his attendant, Mr. Whis from Angel Race. God of destruction? Angel? People who were unaware, like Krillin and the others, found Vegeta's reaction somewhat strange. After all, what's the big deal about a god? They had already met the Supreme Kai and others before. However, those who knew the inside information, like Piccolo, were sweating profusely and looking at Beerus in disbelief. At this moment, Beerus walked straight into the room. When he saw the table full of food, his mouth watered. Ignoring everyone, he grabbed a few pieces of cake and stuffed them into his mouth, devouring them with satisfaction. Delicious, delicious. The food on Earth is really good. With a piece of cake in hand, Beerus tasted it while circling around Goku and the others. His gaze scanned every Saiyan in the room. Then, while eating, he said, Whis, it seems we've come to the right place. Even the weakest Saiyans on this planet are stronger than those on Planet Vegeta. If it's one of them, they might truly be worthy of being my archrival. Beerus narrowed his eyes and continued, tell me quickly who can transform into a Super Saiyan God. If I don't see a Super Saiyan God, it'll completely destroy this planet. Although he was enjoying the food, Beerus had run out of patience after traveling all the way from Planet Vegeta to Earth. Hearing Beerus' words, Vegeta immediately spoke up, Beerus-sama, there are Super Saiyan gods on Planet Vegeta. Nonsense. I'm looking for a Super Saiyan god who is worthy of being my opponent. Do you think I'm talking about those guys with power levels in the mere hundreds of millions? The surrounding air instantly chilled. A bolt of lightning suddenly struck, casting a pallor over everyone's faces. Beerus raised a finger, and his power of destruction began to manifest. Vegeta and the others quickly recognized this power, as it was something Lin Chen had used before. They also noticed that the purplish-black energy Beerus was using was even more powerful than Lin Chen's. Whichever one of you it is, transform into Super Saiyan God right now. But Beerus-sama, to become a Super Saiyan God, we need 6 righteous Saiyans, right? Vegeta hesitated. There are so many Saiyans here. I refuse to believe that you can't gather them. Vegeta, are you unwilling? Beerus increased the power of destruction in his hand. Seeing this, Vegeta quickly nodded and said, all right. I understand. Beerus-sama, please wait a moment. So, Vegeta gathered everyone except Broly and told them about the Super Saiyan God. 6 Saiyans with righteous hearts can become stronger. Vegeta, why didn't you mention this before? Goku said, looking accusingly at him. If he had known about this method to become stronger earlier, he would have tried it a long time ago. Vegeta glared at him and replied, you fool, haven't you seen Tarbell and the others before? Don't you know they are the Super Saiyan gods? Huh. I always thought they had natural red hair. Goku smiled in embarrassment. Vegeta shook his head in exasperation and began counting the people. Super Saiyan God requires at least 6 Saiyans with righteous hearts, and children are more likely to have righteous hearts. So, Gohan, Trunks, Goten, you 3 must have righteous hearts. Then there's Kakarot, he grew up on Earth, so he should be fine. That's 4. And then there are the 2 princes. Alright, we have 6. Just as Vegeta finalized the people, Whis interrupted, saying, sorry to interrupt, Vegeta, but I think you need to make an adjustment. This young man named Taro must be a legendary Super Saiyan, right? Like Broly, he can't provide a righteous heart. What? That's not fair, Taro said, disheartened. Vegeta was even more troubled. If Taro couldn't be included, what should they do? All the Saiyans on Earth were gathered here today, and they couldn't find anyone else. However, Goku pointed at Vegeta and said, hey, Vegeta, why don't you include yourself? Me? Vegeta's face darkened. What a joke. I'm a high-level warrior, my hands are stained with blood. When they tested me for a righteous heart on Planet Vegeta, I didn't have one. Is that so? Goku squinted his eyes, with a mischievous smile on his face. Mr. Whis, can't you determine who meets the criteria? Is Vegeta eligible? Whis raised his scepter and aimed it at Vegeta. A beam of light shone at the top of the scepter. After a moment, Whis smiled and said, "There's no problem, Mr. Vegeta also meets the criteria." What? Vegeta couldn't believe it, his face turning red. How could I? Don't doubt yourself, Vegeta. You're completely different from your past self now. Yeah, Uncle Vegeta, you should have more confidence in yourself. That's right, Dad, have some confidence in yourself. The words of Goku's family and Trunks made Vegeta blush even more. With Vegeta included, they now had the 6 Saiyans with righteous hearts they needed. Vegeta was about to begin the ritual to become a Super Saiyan God when he noticed that someone was missing. Turning around, he saw that Goku had somehow ended up in front of Beerus without knowing when. Kakarot. What are you doing? Goku looked Beerus up and down and said with a smile, "Beerus-sama, are you really strong?" Do you have a problem with that? God of Destruction Beerus rested his finger against his chin and looked at Goku. Oh, I just can't sense your aura, Beerus-sama. I wonder what your strength is. I've been thinking, if you are looking for an opponent, maybe you don't need a Super Saiyan God. Who? Me. I'm really strong, you know. Vegeta facepalmed, utterly speechless. That Goku had no idea what kind of opponent he was facing. As for Beerus, he let out a cold smirk, flicked his black finger, and in the next moment, Goku was sent flying hundreds of meters away. Wow! That was surprising. Goku exclaimed, then he transformed into Super Saiyan and attacked once again. Seeing that they were about to start a fight, Bulma nervously shouted, "Goku, you can't fight here. You'll destroy West City." "Don't worry." Whis waved his scepter. In the next moment, everyone found themselves on a desolate mountain. Is this the plateau north of West City? It's hundreds of kilometers away. Piccolo recognized their location and exclaimed in surprise. The others also looked at Whis with astonishment. What had he done just now to bring everyone hundreds of kilometers away so easily? Were all angels this powerful? Meanwhile, in the sky, there were sounds of collisions. Goku and Beerus' battle had resumed. As a fighting maniac, Goku was eager to fight any powerful opponent. His fists continued to strike at Beerus, but what was surprising was that Beerus didn't even bother to move. Although his body swayed a few times, he effortlessly dodged Goku's attacks. Impressive. How about this then? Boom! The golden aura around Goku began to crackle with countless arcs of electricity. Super Saiyan 2. Goku didn't mind not being able to hit Beerus. He himself didn't really believe that Super Saiyan 1 would be a match for this so-called God of Destruction. However, based on his assessment of Supreme Kai's strength, Goku thought that his Super Saiyan 2 form should be more than enough. But what he didn't expect was that, even though both were gods, Beerus' power was on a completely different level from Supreme Kai's. Soon, Goku realized that his Super Saiyan 2 transformation was also ineffective. Seeing this, Goku immediately switched to Super Saiyan 3. His aura exploded once again. After years of rigorous training, Goku's Super Saiyan 3 form had become even more profound than in the original work. His energy, nearing the pinnacle below the divine realm, surged wildly, creating a fierce hurricane from the burst of aura. Within moments, it dispersed all the clouds within a radius of several hundred kilometers. Beerus clicked his tongue, showing a slight sign of being impressed for the first time. Goku's Super Saiyan 3 transformation was already remarkable among mortals, and it would be challenging to find anyone in Universe 7 who could match it. However, in Beerus' eyes, he was still far from being a worthy archrival. It seemed that they still needed the power of the Super Saiyan God. With a yawn, Beerus extended a finger with a hint of disappointment, and took initiative for the first time to attack. In an instant, he pierced through Goku's thick energy barrier and appeared in front of him. Then, he extended his finger and flicked. Under Goku's astonished gaze, a tremendous force struck his forehead, causing his body to involuntarily be sent flying. As Goku was sent flying by a single flick, the people on the ground were left in astonishment. What is Goku doing? Why isn't he using his real strength? Krillin shouted. Piccolo, on the other hand, remarked, Goku is already using his full strength. What? Everyone was taken aback. With clenched teeth, Piccolo continued, this guy named Beerus is far beyond Supreme Kai in strength. Goku, who had been sent flying, finally stabilized himself after flying a long distance, but his head was still feeling dizzy. Incredible. He's truly in a league of his own, not even Supreme Kai-sama can compare. Besides brother Lin Chen, I've never seen an opponent this strong. But Goku wasn't ready to give up. He gritted his teeth and charged at Beerus once again. A relentless and almost unrestrained onslaught left the ground nearly shattered. Yet, Beerus effortlessly deflected every blow. Finally, with a resounding snap, Goku was sent crashing down from the sky, creating a colossal crater miles wide upon impact. Interesting, but you still have a long way to go. Hurry up and transform into Super Saiyan God, Beerus said, lightly kicking Goku toward Vegeta and the others. At this point, Goku had retracted from his Super Saiyan 3 form, lying on the ground, barely conscious. Goku. Dad. Ouch, it hurts so much, my bones feel like they're about to break. That guy is quite powerful, Goku struggled to stand up, wearing an expression of pain. Sigh, I can't beat him at all. At this rate, even if I become Super Saiyan God, I might not be a match. Kakarot, since His Majesty Lynx is not here, we have no other choice for now. We can't afford to anger Beerus-sama, or the Earth will be done for. Vegeta had already been deeply apprehensive of Beerus' power, and Goku's easy defeat only magnified that fear, causing him to abandon his plan of becoming Super Saiyan God. After consuming a Senzu bean, Goku and others began the ritual to achieve Super Saiyan God. Soon, the 6 Saiyans formed a circle, and a mysterious fluctuation emerged, causing everyone to look on in surprise. What's happening? I can't sense Goku's ki. Could this be the realm of the gods? In this state, it's unclear whether Goku's current strength is strong or weak. At this moment, a mysterious, gentle bright red aura suddenly erupted from Goku's body, causing his appearance to change once again. Goku's hair turned bright red, his body became more slender, and his eyes seemed to have grown larger. Vegeta, who had a younger brother capable of becoming a Super Saiyan God, noticed that Goku's transformation was different from those on Planet Vegeta. Though both had red hair and no visible aura, the red aura surrounding Goku seemed much more powerful. What's going on? Vegeta wondered aloud. At that moment, Whis suddenly chimed in, Ah, I see what's happening. What is it, Whis? Beerus asked. Whis explained, Beerus-sama, what you're seeing now is the true Super Saiyan God. The ones on Planet Vegeta were fake. Fake? I thought they were quite impressive. No, the Saiyan gods on Planet Vegeta merely had enhanced power, but they were far from reaching the divine realm. Mr. Goku's transformation has already brought him into the divine realm, with a true godlike aura. Beerus picked his ear. Even with a godlike aura, this strength still fell far short of his own. This form is incredibly powerful. Goku floated in mid-air, experiencing something entirely new. He turned to Vegeta below and said, Vegeta. This power feels even stronger than when we fused into Vegeto. However, Goku was mistaken. Even as a Super Saiyan God, in terms of power level, he was still far behind Vegeto from back then. However, at the moment, Goku had entered the divine realm by transforming into a Super Saiyan God, and this newly acquired divine realm was what gave him the idea that he had become even more powerful than Vegeta. Nevertheless, whether it was a misconception or reality, Goku, armed with this newfound power, was brimming with fighting intent. Beerus-sama. Come on, let's fight. Beerus floated up and sneered at Goku, you think becoming a Super Saiyan God is enough to challenge me? You're overestimating yourself. As he spoke, an invisible pressure emanated from Beerus which pressed down on Goku. In response, Goku let out a loud roar, and the red aura all over his body surged suddenly. Afterward, his entire body turned into a shadow, abruptly appearing next to Beerus. But Beerus effortlessly deflected Goku's attack with just one finger. Humph. Beerus wore a smug smile. Goku, on the other hand, chuckled, Beerus-sama, this is just the beginning. Yeah. An intense battle erupted out. One shockwave after another made it seem as if massive explosions were constantly occurring on the scene, with one shockwave surging after another. What incredible power! If this continues, Earth will be destroyed. The surging shockwaves caused the crowd to exclaim in surprise. However, at that moment, a loud roar echoed. Kakarot, please take Beerus-sama above in the sky for your battle. Everyone turned their heads to look and saw that it was Broly. Perhaps hearing his voice, Goku and Beerus' battle ascended high into the sky. Soon, their figures couldn't be seen. Thousands of meters above the edge of the atmosphere, the two continued their fight. Compared to the beginning, Goku now seems to have adapted to the Divine Realm combat. Each attack he unleashed had a stronger force behind it. Below, Vegeta and others followed closely, watching quietly from a distance, while Broly and Whis floated in midair. Whis, why isn't Beerus-sama using his full power? Although Kakarot has become stronger, he's still far from Beerus-sama. That's right, Whis replied, watching the battle between the two, and couldn't help but smile. Although Mr. Goku has become stronger, let alone Beerus-sama, he probably can't even defeat you. But it seems he carries limitless potential within him. His adaptation to the Divine Realm is strengthening with time. Beerus-sama must have noticed this, which is why he wants to keep unlocking Goku's potential. Whis smiled. Beerus' current behavior didn't align with his usual character. It appeared that he placed significant importance on the prophecy. Whis speculated that Beerus had, at last, encountered an opponent he could fight, so he must be excited, right? Compared to other universes, Universe 7 had very few skilled fighters. Until these Saiyans emerged like rockets, there were very few in the entire universe that could catch Beerus' eye, except for the Frost Demon family. Over the years, Beerus must have been quite bored. So, after learning about the prophecy, he appeared so excited and made an effort to search everywhere. He even temporarily set aside the matter of destroying Planet Vegeta, which was originally scheduled for destruction. Looking at Beerus, who was now fighting in the sky, Whis could sense a smile on his face. However, Beerus-sama, I have already found a true opponent for you. Once he arrives, I doubt you'll be wearing that smile on your face so easily. A mischievous smile formed at the corner of Whis' mouth. In Whis' eyes, Beerus' current battle could only be considered playful, but in the eyes of Vegeta and the others, it was a battle that far exceeded their level. Dad is amazing. Is the Super Saiyan God really this strong? Gohan exclaimed with joy. Others looked on with envy, and Trunks turned to Vegeta, saying, Dad, if we become Super Saiyan God too, will we become as strong as Uncle Goku? Humph. There's nothing to envy. What Kakarot can do, I can do too. Vegeta couldn't help but feel a bit eager to also give it a try. At the same time, he understood why the same ritual turned Goku into a Super Saiyan God who was so different from the one on Planet Vegeta. All of this was probably because the righteous hearts provided earlier were from Super Saiyans like Trunks. A group of Super Saiyans creating a Super Saiyan God, that was probably the true Super Saiyan God. He used to look down on the transformations of Tarbell and the others, but now it seems that he also needs to become a Super Saiyan god. However, just as everyone was amazed, they suddenly heard Broly say, "Kakarot doesn't seem to be doing well." What? Everyone was startled and then saw that on the battlefield, Goku indeed seemed to be at a disadvantage. It wasn't because Beerus had increased his strength, but Goku appeared to be running low on stamina. Although the Super Saiyan God had limitless recovery abilities, the consumption of stamina was still taking its toll on Goku. Finally, after a fierce attack from Beerus, Goku reverted to his normal state with black hair and fell from the high altitude, looking exhausted. "Kakarot has lost," Vegeta exclaimed, his expression complex. If even Goku, who had become a Super Saiyan God, couldn't be a match for Beerus, who could stop the short-tempered Beerus? How boring. "It seems you're not the archrival I dreamt of," Beerus said with disappointment. He had thought he would find some enjoyment this time, but the result turned out to be like this. In that case, there's no need for this planet to exist anymore. Destruction. Power of destruction condensed at Beerus' fingertip and then turned into a sphere before heading toward Earth beneath his feet. Seeing this, everyone suddenly woke up to the situation. Even Whis looked surprised and raised his scepter. However, just before the purplish-black power of destruction landed on Earth, a soft male voice suddenly sounded out of thin air. "Beerus-sama, Earth is under my protection." Then, another purplish-black energy suddenly burst out of space and collided with the energy sphere released by Beerus, causing the two power of destruction to cancel each other out and quickly disappear. Who is it? Seeing that someone other than himself had released power of destruction, Beerus narrowed his eyes and first looked down at Broly. He was the candidate for God of Destruction, and the attack from earlier was most likely from him. However, when Beerus found Broly, he also saw a hint of surprise on his face. It wasn't him. Then who was it? Could there be someone else in this universe capable of using power of destruction? Just at this moment, a black figure suddenly appeared in front of Beerus, smiling and saying, "Don't bother looking, I'm right here." The person who appeared in front of Beerus was tall and muscular, with long black hair, and a tail swaying behind him. The moment he appeared, the sun shone on him, making it difficult for Beerus to see his face clearly. However, this silhouette bathed in sunlight suddenly gave Beerus a feeling of familiarity. The figure from his dream and this person seemed to overlap. "It's him. He's the one I saw in my dream," Beerus shouted in his mind. At that moment, Whis arrived next to Beerus and smiled at the man. "Mr. Lin Chen, long time no see." "Long time no see, Mr. Whis." "Lin Chen." Beerus' gaze focused, "He is Lin Chen. It's Lin Chen. He was the one who blocked that energy attack just now. That's great. Earth is safe now." Lin Chen looked down at the people below, smiled at them, and then said to Beerus and Whis, "Gentlemen, let's chat after the battle is over." With that, Lin Chen descended below. "Hold on." Seeing this, Beerus tried to stop Lin Chen, but at that moment, a blue shockwave shot between them. "Beerus-sama. Our battle isn't over yet." To everyone's surprise, Goku, who had already returned to his normal state, appeared in front of Beerus once again with his hair now burning with a fiery red light. "You, still have the strength to fight?" Beerus looked at Goku with some surprise, realizing that Goku had unexpectedly grown stronger than before, as if he had started to get accustomed to the feeling of the divine realm. At this moment, Goku saw Lin Chen and couldn't help but greet him first. "Ah, brother Lin Chen. So you're back. Kakarot, you guys continue, don't mind me." "Alright, thanks, brother Lin Chen. Let's have dinner together later." Seeing that Lin Chen had no intention of joining the battle, Goku waved his hand with a smile. Once Lin Chen had left, Goku clenched his fists and said to Beerus, "Beerus-sama, let's continue." However, at this moment, Goku noticed that Beerus seemed to completely ignore him and kept muttering to himself while watching Lin Chen leave. Is he really Lin Chen? Of course, he's the king of the Saiyans, Lin Chen. Isn't he strong? I've always wanted to defeat him. Beerus glanced at Goku with some exasperation and said, "Want to defeat him? You don't understand at all. The disparity between you and him is even greater than the disparity between you and me." Goku couldn't see it, but Beerus could. In Lin Chen's effortless action just now, he had already used at least two kinds of power of law. Power of destruction and power of space. Especially the power of destruction, it was on par with him, the god of destruction himself.